Hello, welcome
Hi.
everybody to the stream. This
Hello,
is
everyone.
welcome.
Welcome, welcome.
Yep. So this is I'm Kakushie, and I'm joined today by
Oh, is that
by.
me? I'm Tori. Hi. Welcome, everyone.
Yep, and
I'm
we're gonna.
so excited to be here.
Me too. I mean, I'm really looking forward to this. I've seen like a couple of episodes of the anime of this, and I have a feeling this is going to it's going to be a lot of feels, but it's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm so excited. This is yet another episode of Nitori makes people play visual novels that she's already played. So I have played this visual novel, and I don't know. I don't want to say much, but it's really good. And I'm really looking forward to playing it.
Oh, excellent. Please ignore the test stream chat on the thing, by the way. We're just
That's why I said. Okay. Hide it, hide it.
okay. There we go. All right. So I'm gonna restart the game now, and we can start over from the beginning. Let me just double check. Character rate is good. Font.
Wow, we have a fan. We have an excited fan in chat.
Oh wow. Well, welcome, Nitori.
Welcome,
welcome.
welcome. Welcome, Nitori, to Nitori's stream. Nitori and Cuckoo stream.
Oh hi Kukushie.
Oh,
Welcome.
it's Cuckoo. I
Whoa.
love Cuckoo. They're such a good streamer.
Oh yeah, I love watching their streams.
Yeah, whenever they're live,
Yeah.
I just have such a good time.
Unfortunately, I'm usually live at the same time, so I have to catch the archives.
I know I have to go watch the VODs. Unfortunately, we're streaming right now at the same time that Cuckoo's streaming,
No.
so we're gonna have to go watch the VODs later.
Yeah. I
But
think it'll be a good stream.
yeah, everyone should go check out Cuckoo's stream. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow him.
oh yes. And also follow PocketNitori, whose
Oh
stream link.
yeah, it is somewhere.
I'll
I
just
don't have it
make it up.
prepared.
Neither do I. I
That I'm gonna send
think I
right
got it.
now.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah.
Kukushie. Thanks,
Oh wow,
PocketNitori. Wow.
Cuckoo, Kushi, and PocketNitori. Oh wow, they're so helpful. They knew exactly what we wanted to send.
They're on the ball. They were totally prepared to send those links.
Oh yeah, and that's why Cuckoo's a mod.
nice. Okay. So, all right, I guess we can start the game.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
All right.
All right, I am so excited for this.
Okay, return. Oh, return to title menu. There we go.
Yeah.
I guess the stream can't see my dialogues, so here we go.
Yeah. Start.
Oh boy.
Stato.
A tale told by Key.
Give it up for Key, everyone. Woo! Yeah, Key.
I
Keys
like
make
Key.
such good visual novels. Yeah, they do. Why don't you come to the planetarium? The beautiful twinkling of eternity that will never fade, no matter what. All the stars in the sky are waiting for you. Why don't you come to the planetarium? The beautiful twinkling of eternity that will never fade, no matter what. All the stars in the sky are waiting for you. Why don't you come to the planetarium? And so on. Oh, I love the music, the little
Mm-hmm.
toy box in the background.
Yeah,
Planetarian, the reverie of a little planet.
that's us.
That's us! Oh my
oh,
god, we're playing that game right now.
right. About 10,000 days later.
10,000 days. That's like 30 years? Almost 30 years.
I think so.
Something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
A very, very long time.
Yeah, some stuff has happened, but I think we'll get into that later.
Nah, the world's exactly the same as it was 30 years ago, for sure. Congratulations.
Uh, Both my eyes were shot through with light. Ugh. I tore the night vision goggles off my face before they burned out my retinas. For several seconds, I wasn't able to see anything at all. Ugh. However, that's the sound that assailed me next was neither the crack of machine gun fire, nor was it the hiss of nerve gas.
You are our 2,500,000th customer.
No, it was a young woman's voice, clear and sweet, completely out of place in the midst of the god-forsaken rubble. Since it was reverberating off the high ceiling, it was difficult to ascertain its point of origin. So I pointed my grenade launcher forward, alarmed. Even though I let the tension in my trigger finger drain away, I kept the weapon pointed straight ahead. After all, sometimes intimidation alone wasn't enough. However, if that other person was trying to kill me,
Mm.
the owner of that voice immediately fell silent. When
Oh my, that was inexcusable. I humbly beg your pardon.
she started apologizing with an incredible burst of energy.
It's quite a long way from the truth, actually. To be precise, you are the 2,497,288th customer. I cheated by 2,712 places. And yet, I thought that you would just accept it happily.
I really had no idea what she was talking about. Waves of bewilderment swirled through my head. Why was there a human being in a place like this? And why a young woman at that? Was this a trap laid by another junker? But if that was the case, why was I still alive? On top of that, why was this girl not quitting her chattering?
Actually, the number I just gave you is not exactly accurate either. Some time ago, I made an exception and let a little boy and little girl in when they didn't have enough for the admission fee. So, technically, you are the 2,497,290th customer. I sincerely beg your pardon.
The figure of a person began to appear out of the light as the persistent afterimages oozed away.
Look,
Hey!
you're so cute.
uh, I like how she keeps count. I cheated a little bit. It seemed like a short, young woman. I took a close look at her as I continued to cautiously point the barrel of my gun towards her. She looked maybe 15 or 16 years old. Long, lightly colored hair, divided on both sides into ponytails. Strange earrings that almost totally concealed her ears. A hat
I
sitting
never noticed that.
lightly on her head. Yeah, they do. They do that,
She
huh?
looks like she's from PSO2 or something. She looks like my Fantasy Star Online 2 character.
Yeah, she's definitely decorated. A hat sitting lightly on her head. Hair ornaments as wide as cargo bands. A short skirt that ended just above her knees. She was holding something in her arms, too. I couldn't imagine that it was a weapon, but its use as anything else was a complete mystery to me. This was simply an impossible scene. Her posture was more rigid and upright than even that of a toy soldier.
Mr. Customer?
The ceaseless chatter came to an end at last. She cocked her head slightly. There was a buzzing sound almost like that of a leaf beetle in flight along with her movement. Her long, unruly hair that was parted down the center suddenly billowed out even in the total absence of a breeze. It was almost it was almost as if her body was suspended in a sea of weightless silk threads. And at last I understood. I understood what a defenseless little girl was doing in these uninhabited ruins. This being, who stood smiling like a fool before a man pointing a 40mm high explosive grenade launcher at her, was a robot?
Yes, I am a robot.
She responded in delight.
My name is Hoshino Yumemi. I'm a member of the staff at this institution.
With a childish smile, she presented that thing she was holding in her hands to me. What the hell is that?
It's a bouquet. Please accept this in commemoration of your visit here.
The bouquet. It's got like wires and.
I don't see a single flower in that bouquet.
Yeah.
I have a microphone.
Oh, there is. Cool. Is it a hidden mic? Are you with the Junkers?
Is it bugged?
Is it bugged? I looked at it once again. Fluorescent bulbs, old-style microphones, power cords, camera lenses, pieces of copper wire, fragments of organic plastic. The variegated bundle of junk was wrapped in a roll of opaque film, with ribbon cable tied in a bow at the bottom. I somehow got the impression that this situation was hopeless. Of course, I had never seen a bouquet of real flowers in my life. But it wasn't as if the obvious fact was lost on me. Those were obviously absolutely not real flowers. They weren't even, for that matter, artificial flowers.
Please accept this in commemoration of your visit here.
She repeated those same words over again. Her smile seemed to carry no malice whatsoever. As a result, I accepted her so-called bouquet. After I confirmed that there were no explosives or unusual artifacts in it, I threw it to the floor. Wow.
Oh, what a jerk.
Oh my god. I don't have anything to throw that's not gonna, like, get
Don't
damaged.
throw anything.
Oh, here we go. Oh. I threw it to the floor.
Wow, this is so immersive. What did you just throw?
My earbuds. They're okay. Probably. Oh.
I beg your pardon.
Oh no.
To tell you the truth, I was unable to prepare real flowers for you.
Real flowers?
Yes. There's a department store on the first floor of this. There's a flower shop on the first floor of this department store. If you call them, their delivery service is usually very prompt and courteous. However, I couldn't reach them by telephone and tried to make one myself, but
Aw.
it is embarrassing for me to say this, but I really have no eye for which bouquets are beautiful. I humbly beg your pardon.
I had some knowledge about robots. It's not her fault she didn't have any flowers.
She's just doing her best.
Yeah. He threw it to the floor. Oh my god. This guy. I had some knowledge about robots. Before the outbreak of the Great War, they comprised one of the prime export industries in the country that had once existed here. They were so exquisitely built that they could not be told apart from human beings with just a single glance. They thought of nothing but serving humans and labored for the good of all mankind. Even so, there was something very odd about the way that this thing standing before my eyes was trying to appease me. Are you broken?
Yes, I am just a little broken.
Aw. She answered as if it was a matter of fact.
There currently exists an unidentified bug in my self-diagnostic subroutines.
Oh, whoops.
My backup CMOS battery is depleted and must be replaced. I can't establish communications with the support center. I've transmitted a ticket for a maintenance call, but there has been no response. I can't connect to my personal backup data archive. My cervical vertebral power unit is past its operational lifespan and must be replaced.
I guess, yeah, she's got a lot of problems, I guess. She's broken in a lot of ways.
Almost as many problems as I have.
Oh no. Me too. She reeled off her defects with more pride than an old man grown utterly tired of life.
There also exist known issues with my personal information databases and my conversation subroutines. Because of them, the tendency to engage in verbose conversation without taking time into consideration has become a unique characteristic of this unit.
Aw, she talks too much. That's okay.
That's one way to
You're
say
not broken. It's a feature, not a bug.
it. However, Mr. Manager and the staff said I'm cuter this way, and so they only allowed my update function to run off of physical media.
At this point, I had already abandoned all hope of comprehending what she was saying. I looked around inside the room as I shouldered my grenade launcher. A dusky, hemisphere shaped roof dome. As I looked closely, I saw that there were uniform lines engraved all over the entire surface. There didn't seem to be a single light installed anywhere. A large circular platform, about 20 meters in diameter. Mainly plain chairs were closely packed in a radial configuration on that platform. Every single one, every single one faced the center of the room. Whoops. Every single
no.
one. That's my mouse wheel. Every single one faced the center of the room and was slightly reclined such that an occupant could look up comfortably.
This looks very comfortable, very comfy.
Actually, those seats look pretty cheap, honestly. But yeah, not bad. There were 3 doors, each one with a green rectangular guidance light shining above it. Oh, the exit sign. I had no idea how this could be, but it meant that there was a private power generator on the premises, and that it was still operational. Judging from the cool dryness of the air, it appeared that the air conditioning was functioning as well. There was a mechanism like none I had seen before at the center of the group of chairs. If I were to allow my imagination to run wild, I could very easily think that it was a gigantic, double-headed black ant.
No, the ants are gonna take over.
Oh no! Get your grenade launcher! For two spherical masses, each one with countless holes, were mounted like dumbbell weights on either side of a central shaft. The shaft tilted diagonally, supported by steel scaffolding. The entire contraption stood in a delicate balance like that of a gyroscope. 2 lights concealed by bowl-like covers, one on either side of the supports, were illuminating the entirety of the room. They were emitting a frail, harmless orange-colored light. Well, harmless only when it was not suddenly being shone into the eyes of someone wearing night vision goggles. The top of the ant's head came to about twice the height of a man. Oh, that's pretty big.
That's a big ant.
Had all the chairs been populated with people, it would seem almost as if these people were worshipping the ant. An ant cult. Oh no. I had only seen something like this once before in my life. It was a place far colder than this, in a village that a few survivors of the final massacre had established just inside the perimeter of the 3rd line. The final massacre.
Dark. That sounds dark.
Yeah, I think we're getting now into the world that we're going into right now.
Definitely not like our world. I don't know any place called Final Massacre.
Yet.
Yet.
It sounds like, to me, it sounds like either a war or a battle. And yeah, that's not a good one.
Yeah, it's called Final Massacre. Probably wasn't much of a battle.
Yeah. The inhabitants of that village had fashioned a strange cylindrical idol out of the wreckage of battle mechs and placed it in a church with a shattered roof. They named it after a summer flower that had disappeared from this earth long, long ago. They danced in circles around that idol, praying to it in words I couldn't understand. They truly believed that if they did so, they could get the rain to stop falling. Huh. I guess it always rains.
We're just blessing the rain.
Town in Africa?
Mr. Customer? Would it be okay if we started over again?
I came to as soon as I heard her voice. She continued to be totally unconcerned about the fact that a grenade launcher had just been leveled at her.
Mr. Customer, you are our first customer in exactly 29 years and 81 days.
Well, now we know how long the place has been shut down
I guess
for.
that's 10,000 days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so.
Welcome to the rooftop planetarium of the Flower Crest department store.
She bowed deeply as she said this.
Okay.
Achievement. Oh, I got an achievement. The robot's
Oh,
bouquet.
congratulations.
Oh, here we go with the background. This was a sarcophagus city, a dead zone abandoned by its inhabitants after it was devastated by a bombardment of biochemical warheads filled with long half life payloads during the early stages of the war. It was said that the direct causes of the war were global overpopulation and the failure of the space colonization project, combined with the total depletion of natural resources.
Okay, so that's going to be us in like 30 years.
Oh no! Oh, not not that it mattered any longer. The space colonization project sounds pretty cool, but I guess they were like, well, Earth is doomed. Let's let's go somewhere
Yeah,
else,
let's
and
get out of here.
that
Yeah.
didn't work. So then there was the war. Not that it mattered any longer. The Earth overflowed with foolish and selfish human beings back then, and the biggest fools among them pressed the buttons that caused the orbital satellites to fire their germ bomb warheads. Their intent was probably to lie in wait until the bombardment was over, and then to quietly seize control of everything afterwards. However, not a single person came back to re inhabit these cities. All the inhabitants of the towns surrounding the germ bombed cities had been vaporized in thermonuclear warhead strikes. 1 year after the outbreak of the war, Earth's human population had been cut in half. That number was halved again by the end of the second year, and halved again and again every following year. After the 10th year had passed, the the countries that had begun the war no longer existed. But even then, the war did not end. People worked so hard to slaughter each other that even when there were no humans left to fight, they continued to airdrop autonomous battle mechs, collectively known as warmongers, in order to continue the bloodshed. Because the point of the war was no longer the conquest of land, it had become nothing other than the it had become nothing other than the internecine creed of revenge and massacre. The world had become empty indeed, and the people who had leisure to do such things as count the population vanished from the face of the earth. The purpose of life became merely to live, and so man began to produce nothing other than man. That situation dragged on for 20 long years. Okay, so 10 years of war and then 20 years of rain?
Of pain. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what we've missed basically. It was then when the so-called rain began to fall. The rain continued to fall without regard for day or night, snatching away even the sunlight from this world and obliterating the seasons. It poisoned the soil and the water, withered the plants, cracked concrete, and turned steel into rusty garbage. Even the act of man giving birth to man would now come to naught, or so it seemed. There was nothing left in this world but dirt immersed in poison and unspeakable ruin. Wow.
Well, that sucks.
It does suck. Wow. So I guess he's like one of the few people left, and I guess that also explains why he's carrying around a grenade launcher and was afraid of getting trapped by junkers. Oh,
Oh, because
like
other
yeah.
people would probably come and kill him. Like a game
Yeah.
of Apex.
Real life has become
This
Apex.
is just Apex Legends.
And suddenly, he's in a planetarium. For a junker like me, a sarcophagus city was a mountain of treasure. Now, 30 years after the outbreak of the war, the artificial bacteria, for which vaccines were never developed, had all but died off. Even the vast sarcophagus dome that once enveloped the entirety of the city had been eroded away by the rain. However, the fact that people continued to avoid this area had not changed. When the inhabitants were ordered to evacuate, they left behind all their possessions and equipment, all the way down to their pins and needles. Thus, one could find MREs, that's meals ready to eat, various medicines, fuel, batteries, precision tools, weapons and ammunition, and all sorts of arcane devices in a more or less preserved state that could no longer be obtained these days in the unused air raid shelters and destroyed military installations. And when one was very lucky indeed, one could find cases of pre-war distilled liquor and cigarettes. He's got
Of
his
course,
priorities.
the essentials of life. Yeah.
However, if you let your guard down for even a second, you'd quickly pay, but for trespassing, many times over. This was guaranteed by the warmonger patrols, autonomous hedgehog hunter-killer tanks, and light anti-personnel Mansionjäger drones, all of them still in extermination mode, as well as the proximity mines that could be triggered even by opening doors. Wow.
That's a lot of dangerous
It's
stuff.
very dangerous, yeah. This guy's definitely on edge.
This guy's he's strong. He's
Yeah.
brave. I'll give him
Yeah.
that.
Not to mention the unstable floors and the scaffolding that could crumble just by stepping on them, the uncharacterizable fevers that seemed to arise from an infection with mutant bacteria, the hordes of hungry rats, and other junkers who might be better armed. The list went on and on. The only way to do better is to plunder a sarcophagus city. I remember an old junker telling me that once. That junker and I partnered up some time ago, and we worked together for about a year. My partner, whose chatter was annoying but skill as a junker couldn't be doubted, served the role of the scout, and I the role of the enforcer. As we shared a drink of pre-war J&B that we had discovered together one day, my partner informed me about the existence of a few sarcophagus cities located along an unplundered strip of the East Coast. East Coast of America? Japan?
I think it's Japan.
Oh,
That makes sense.
that would make sense, yeah. Like Tokyo, I guess. He told me about the abundant riches and untold dangers that lay therein. But you know, the most irritating thing in that sarcophagus city had to be the time when I met that robot.
Uh-oh.
I spoke in my voice for him, but that's okay. all the junkers sound like that, I guess.
He only has like 5 lines. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I pressed for more details, but my partner said nothing more on the matter. Instead, he repeated himself by saying, "Do not talk to it. It's not a thing that is of this world." With a grimace that further distorted his face, whose nose had already been badly disfigured by some shrapnel from a fragmentation grenade. I think my partner said a few other things, but I couldn't remember what they were anymore. Eventually, that junker got ensnared by an obvious booby trap and died too. His final words... Sorry?
Rip in peace.
Yeah, rip
Back in
in
the chat.
peace.
for the dead junker partner.
His final words were, "A can of sardines from my hometown brings back memories."
Dies.
Yeah. That's why I buried my erstwhile partner, along with a can of the stuff he ate after digging his grave. At the time, I wished that his last words had been a little less desolate and a little more stoic. Even now, I continue to wish that.
I am a 5000 series bargain edition unit, so my information ribbon is a custom add-on. Bargain
Back to
edition.
this now. Oh, it blinks. It's multicolored.
Oh, I am able to change its colors and patterns, just like that.
Oh, hey, what's up? En Nanimonai? Hope you're enjoying the stream.
Hi, welcome.
Welcome.
Mr. Manager and the staff presented this to me in commemoration of my 10 years of continuous service.
The most irritating thing in this entire sarcophagus city showed off her functions to me with exhaustive courtesy.
Are Furthermore, I have card printing and holographic video recording and playback functions built in as standard options in my ear receivers.
This was nothing more or less than a bad joke.
With my card printing function, I am able to print out the planetarium's current programming guide, information about this month's astronomical phenomena, information about this department store's event schedule, as well as the map of the department store itself, and finally, all kinds of discount coupons.
She produced a cord from the slot on her left ear like it was a magic trick.
Ta-da! Here, this is the current programming guide. Please take it.
I took the proffered card, opened it, and took a glance. Did I say cord? I meant card. It was an antique made of ink and paper from 30 years ago. The small letters were so severely blurred that I could barely read them, and even then, the right margins are completely illegible. At the Flowercrest Rooftop Planetarium this month. Planetarium projection. The autumn stars and Khan's special feature. The reverie of mankind spreading. Note. We are expecting our 2,500,000th customer to.
It's free, so please take it without any hesitation.
I decided to ignore her instead.
Oh,
Aw, she's just trying to cheer him up.
I know, these guys are like polar opposites.
Yeah. Smiling the entire time, she cheerfully looked on as my fingers crumpled the card into a wad. Aw. The
Aww.
card crusher. Oh, I need more sound
He
effects
still
for
has
this.
that face though.
Yeah. It's okay. She probably has like 100 more behind her ear. Her card slot.
Well then, next I will show you a tutorial on my holographic video recording and playback function.
Oh no.
Mr. Customer, please give a little speech in honor of coming to our planetarium.
I let out a sigh as I was confronted by this unending monologue. I'd lost my gloves, so my skin had been exposed to the open air for several days. My hands up to my wrists ached as if they had been pierced by needles, no thanks to the fact that I had been out in the rain for so long. There was a single cigarette left in the waterproof case in my breast pocket. It was the last of the pack I had bartered 24 cluster fuel cells for at a trading post half a year ago. Wow. Oh, so he's made that like one cigarette pack last half a year.
It sounds expensive, that's why.
Yeah.
This is why you don't smoke, kids. They
Yeah.
jack up the rates and they how much
Oh
they
my
tax
God.
them.
How much,
Yeah.
what did he say it was? 24 cluster fuel cells? Jeez.
Sounds expensive.
Yeah. As soon as I took the case out, I was struck by a terrible feeling. The front clasp was undone, and the rusty brown drops of water were leaking out. God damn it! I involuntarily buried my head in my hands. And just like that, I looked up at the ceiling. Today's work had been a complete waste from the very outset. First, I fought with 3 other junkers over the right to use the only safe way into this godforsaken place. Although I somehow managed to win, I used up half my already meager supply of ammunition doing so. Then, after breaking through the quarantine wall, I ran into an entire platoon of Menschenjägers. Thanks to them, I ended up creeping, twisting, and turning inside a maze of rubble and mud for half a day. By the time I had caused 3 of them to run aground and incapacitated the 4th, I had no more ammunition for my PGW, only 3 cartridges left for my grenade launcher, and I had totally lost my case of rations. As I surveyed the state of the city, my disappointment soared. The stores and the air raid shelters along the quarantine wall had already been broken into, and there was nothing of value to be found in those places any longer. I should have been looking to escape right around that point, but instead I proceeded deeper into it. Ian Nanimoni says, nothing like a good cigarette every 2 months. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
probably how long it will last.
yeah. Beyond the gray curtain of rain, an old and somehow familiar looking skyscraper stood erect against the wind like some sort of magical tower. Using that building as a landmark, I penetrated into the very heart of the city. I still had some obstinacy in me, and some impatience as well. But things like that were not what drove me forward. I was probably just sick and tired of everything. Of these miniature garden like ruins with no one in them, of the rain that never stopped falling, of this ashen world that had been stripped of its natural order by the machinations of mankind.
Um, Mr. Customer. Mr. Customer.
I raised my head, only to find her childlike face at point blank range. She cocked her head uneasily, probably wondering why I hadn't replied to her yet.
Could it be that you're not feeling well? Or is it some kind of life-threatening condition? Such emergencies are beyond this unit's abilities to deal with. This is very troubling.
She said these things without a trace of world weary cynicism or sentimentality.
Mr. Customer, may I have your permission to call our department store medical office? Mr. Customer? Mr. Customer? Mr. Customer?
Shut up! I am not a customer, nor am I sick. The angry words that I shouted were awe-inspiringly ridiculous as they echoed off the ceiling.
Is that so? Well, if you are healthy, then that is the most important thing.
She's totally fine with it.
Totally oblivious. She
Yeah.
totally missed the point.
She just cares so much. She just wants him to be
Yeah.
happy.
Of course.
The smile on that robot's face appeared again as if out of nowhere.
To tell you the truth, some time ago, there was an incident where a customer fell ill during a projection. Ever since then, there has been an emergency first aid response system set up here.
I am not a customer, and I have no interest whatsoever in your conversation or this establishment.
Is that so?
She cocked her head slightly again, as if she had understood my true intentions.
Then, could it be that the planetariums are no longer in fashion after all?
Aw. She has no idea.
No longer in
Oh.
fashion.
The oil on water, like iridescent reflection coming from her open eyes, was due to the optical resin used to make them. In the moment that these eyes focused on something, I could see her irises moving and her eyelashes flitting.
It is embarrassing for me to say this, but lately we have had remarkably few customers. Mr. Manager did say that it was because there are so many ways to enjoy oneself without having to even go out these days, but there were so many customers coming every day when I was first activated here.
Oh, do we have the heart to tell her that no, there are no more customers?
I don't think she would listen.
uh, she anxiously fluttered her eyelashes and gave a long sigh.
After all, companion robots are no longer an unusual thing these days, and all the companies have announced next generation units with abilities far exceeding mine.
Good God, she just continued carrying on and on and on.
I apologize, Mr. Customer. I'm afraid I have been boring you with my idle grumbling. Well then, the next projection will start in 7 minutes. Please take your seat and wait until that time.
I'm repeating myself here, but I am not a customer.
Oh, that's so? You do seem to be very busy, but you did take the effort to come here. So please, won't you take this as a stroke of fate and watch the projection?
Shut up.
Oh, and speaking of which, it takes about 45 minutes for the projection to finish.
Look, just shut up.
Oh, and I am sorry, but speaking during the projection is...
Shut up! Don't open your mouth. I am begging you, just be quiet.
Yes, request acknowledged.
She finally shut her mouth, albeit with a very reluctant air. How wonderful. Were all robots like this? I'd never before heard that men of the pre-war, era engaged in such frivolous hobbies.
Um, Mr. Customer, there is one request I would like to make before I come quiet.
The silence had not lasted for even 10 seconds.
While it is true that you are precisely the 2,497,290th customer, if it makes no difference to you, I would like you to view the special projection reserved in commemoration of the 2,500,000th customer. What do you think?
Thus did I completely lose. My body was as sluggish as mud, so I wished to avoid a foolish debate over a matter like this more than anything. I didn't know what she was going to show me, but it couldn't be anything worse than this chaotic hell that I was already in. Do whatever you want, Skinny Shiro.
Thank you very much.
She bowed deeply, and then, gazing at me with upturned eyes, she smiled shyly.
Then please, sit in any chair you like.
That was the first halfway decent proposal I had heard from her so far. I first put down my backpack, and then I took off my waterproof cloak. The military issue cloak, patterned with urban camouflage and proofed against infrared radiation, had become so soaked with muddy water that it was as heavy as the iron plate. An iron plate.
Well then, I will go prepare the projection, but please wait for a little bit.
She bowed lightly and cheerfully headed into the interior of the dome. Uh, wait a second. In the second I called out to her, she came to an immediate halt, as if she anticipated it.
Yes? May I help you with something?
Uh, what are you going to be showing me? A holo live? A holo vid?
Hololive? Hololive? Hololive?
Holo stars?
Hololive? Is it idol concert? Is it Matsuri? The Starry Sky.
The starry sky?
Yes, the Starry Sky.
She answered succinctly for once. Nanimonai says, "Oh no."
Oh no, Hololive.
A holo live.
Well then, please wait for a little bit until the projection begins.
The starry sky? I could not begin to guess how and where she was broken for her to be saying such crazy words. I inspected the seat of the chair and then cautiously sat down. A white cloud of dust erupted, along with a rusty creaking sound. As I leaned back in the chair, it angled back profoundly as well. I flipped up a waterproof lid of my wristwatch in order to take note of the time. However, the hands of the watch were not moving. Thanks to my battle with the Menschenjägers, I'd forgotten to wind the mechanism. Uh-oh. No idea. How would you even tell time in this world? Like, I guess there's still day... Is there daylight, I guess?
Yeah, there's still days and universal time. If you
Yeah.
lost track of time, then it would be very hard to sleep, I guess.
Yeah. I guess you just have to wait for the night sky to... Well, the night cloudy sky to get dark and... Oh. Well, oh well. It was unavoidable. At the very least, I knew that it was already well past sunset. Although I wasn't happy about it, it would probably be best to spend the night here. I laid out my equipment to dry. I pried open my backpack with both hands, and then took out the contents. My backup cloak, my mobile water purification system, and the antibiotic ampule and syringe I carried around for peace of mind had all become completely soaked. I had 3 packages of hard biscuits as rations, and as I already knew, I had no more magazines for my PDW. After I had spread my equipment onto the chairs around me to dry, and just as I was lamenting the fact that my last cigarette had gotten smoked, she reappeared. With steps so precise that they could be measured with a ruler, she walked with composure through the aisle between the chairs. It seemed that the program was now going to begin, somehow. She turned to me and bowed respectfully.
Welcome. and thank you for coming to Flower Crest Department Store's rooftop planetarium today. My name is Hoshino Yumemi, and I am a member of the staff of this institution. Before the projection begins, I would like to tell you a few important things. Noises made within the dome echo terribly and will pose an annoyance to all of the other customers. So please, do not talk or whisper during the projection. I am sorry, but please turn off your cell phones, any alarms now. In addition, please do not eat, drink, or smoke during the projection.
Judging from the way she was making her announcements, she seemed to possess a voice amplification function as well. That clear, carrying voice that would probably reach every last chair in this place, that tone without falter or hesitation, and that brilliant smile. If she were not a robot, then there would be no way she could address the entire audience at once in such a fashion. She continued her verbose explanations about not standing up in the middle of the projection, and the emergency procedures in case of an earthquake or a fire. One would get the impression that viewing the stars involved some extremely complex legal process by hearing her go on and on. However, I paid no attention at all, as I idly played with my wet cigarette. And then, the tone of her voice brightened completely.
Well then, at last, I will introduce a most important partner who will take you all into the world of the stars. Please welcome her with a warm round of applause. Miss Jenna!
I thought my heart was going to pound out of my chest. I hurriedly grabbed my grenade launcher and flicked off the safety. Who? From which door? But there was no indication of anyone appearing.
Tell you the truth, Miss Jenna is the name of this machine.
With a slow, easy tone, she arrived at the punchline for her joke. She then leaned forward and looked over at the one customer she had. Behind her was the thing that shaped like a giant leaning iron dumbbell.
Mr. Customer, you're supposed to laugh here.
You thought I would laugh? Oh. No. Rather, I wanted to empty my grenade launcher at her direction. Oh my god! No!
Don't throw her up.
Oh my god.
Yes, very many customers used to laugh at this point.
Cut out all this unnecessary junk and just start already.
Thank you. I am very grateful that you're anticipating it this much.
Who said that I was anticipating it?
Aw, he's a tsundere.
It's not like I wanted you to start the projection.
Baka. Well then, now Miss Jenna will greet all of you.
It seemed as if she had been specifically constructed to block out anything that might be disagreeable to her. She gestured with her right hand toward the machine behind her, making sure that her customer's attention was on her. But nothing happened.
Please wait for a moment. And once again, Miss Jenna will greet all of you.
But there was not the slightest movement from the machine. It was only an awkward silence.
Mr. Customer?
Weren't you gonna show me the stars? I thought that she had at last gone speechless at my question.
I beg your pardon. I humbly beg your pardon.
But then she involuntarily spouted yet another endless flood of apologies.
I'm embarrassed to be telling you this, but it seems that our projector is in a state of serious breakdown. I sincerely apologize. It is usually perfectly maintained, but right now Mr. Manager and all the staff are on a trip, and a simple unit like me could not possibly grasp the situation.
I involuntarily looked towards the sky. Oh, achievement unlocked. The sealed city and the junker.
Yay!
Hey. Wow. So far, Yeah, I guess it's not a surprise that the planetarium is broken after 30 years and like a 10-year war.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's exceeded its warranty.
uh, I think one thing that worries me too is if you remember earlier when she, I mean, well, you played the game before, but earlier she was talking about like a backup power system or something, and it makes me
Mhm.
think like at some point she's gonna run out of batteries, and I don't know if there's gonna be like power to turn her back on. So,
Oh, that would be so
uh,
sad.
so hopefully it doesn't come to that. But like I've only seen a couple of episodes of the anime, so I don't know what's gonna happen. But I'm kind of worried.
Well, then let's find out.
The rain was continuing to fall. From beyond the curtain, woven by the falling drops of rain, my freezing cold ears picked up distant echoes. 1 block away, a hedgehog-B in stealth mode was lying in wait for prey to come within range. These were the murmurs of a god of death. No human being could hope to bring down a hedgehog-B with handhold weaponry. I saw an entire company of heroic infantrymen annihilated for the sake of destroying a single one of those tanks during a strike against the southern hives, in the waning stages of the final human counteroffensive. Yet some of those killed were young boys, barely older than 10 years of age. Wow. I guess they just
Brutal.
sent everyone, huh? Actually, I wonder what age, like if this guy's in his 20s or something, then I guess he would have been born during the war or maybe after it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he was born after, yeah, after the whole war started.
Yeah,
So probably 20s.
probably. Or at the very least, I don't think he remembers things like a starry sky and cell phones and stuff.
Yeah, he probably is younger than 30 because he doesn't remember. He doesn't know what the world was like
Hmm.
before it became like this.
Yeah. Oh, Nani Manai says Skynet takes no prisoners. They were orphans who, after the everything's gonna get so dark now. Sorry.
No, it's like game is like a roller coaster.
Yeah, there's like the darkness and the finding out about the world situation, and then there's Yumemi.
And then she's like obliviously like, yeah,
She's like
dark.
she's like a shining star in the dark night sky. That is this world. They were orphans who, after the destruction of their colonies, had united with only the clothes on their backs to fight in order to release humanity from the fate that it had created for itself. Their eyes gleamed at the sight of the assault rifles they had been issued and the synthetic chocolate in their ration packs. Inside the APC taking them to the battlefield, they spoke bravely of winning the war and returning the world to the way that it had been. Yet, at the same time, even their fingers were trembling with fear. In the end, every part of them, from their severed limbs to their dog tags blackened by napalm, to the melted barrels of their heat warped assault rifles, lay cooling in the falling rain. Because if one did not squeeze into some crevice in the rubble before being detected by the sensors, as I lay face up and made to cautiously move my body, I realized that there was no mud on the ground. That's when I snapped awake. Oh, I was slumped over in the middle of a row of chairs. There was a slightly moist atmosphere, the scent of old machine oil mixed with mold and dust, and the quiet sound of air conditioning. What confronted me overhead was not the gray sky, but an arched ceiling illuminated by concealed lights. The rain was probably continuing to fall beyond that ceiling. I raised my head and surveyed my surroundings. That dark metal sphere, riddled with innumerable holes, was staring expressionlessly in my direction. It would seem as that I was so exhausted last night that I just fell asleep right where I was. Uh, I moved my wrist slightly. It had truly been a long time since I had last woken up in a dry room.
Wow. Like how you feeling it?
As I then moved my gaze down to my stomach, I realized that there was something on top of it. Oh!
Baby? Sorry.
Oh God!
I brushed
I
off
brushed it
in
off in
confusion.
confusion.
Whee! There goes the baby.
Oh no! I reflexively grabbed my grenade launcher, and then I realized what it was. It was the so-called bouquet that the robot had made and that I had thrown away yesterday. This sucks. I sat up in my seat and looked around. The figure of the one who had given me the bouquet, the robot, was nowhere to be seen. Had she broken down to the point that she no longer moved, or was she still loitering in the vicinity? While her rambling nonsense was well and good, if she had any intent of harming me, it might have been in my best interest to strike preemptively. Oh. Then again, if I were in a sleep so deep that she could put a bouquet on me without me noticing, then I would have been unable to resist even if she came to lop off my head. I stood and shouldered my grenade launcher. Okay, he's not going to shoot her. That's good.
That's good. Yeah, I'm glad.
I made my way through the rows of chairs in order to gaze at the machine. I was completely dumbfounded. There was a massive pile of unidentifiable junk here on the floor. Toolboxes and oil cans left open, a mountain's worth of old rags, an incredible number of parts sealed in plastic bags. Perhaps all of this was for the sake of that machine. Oh, Nanimonai says it'd be a short game if he did. Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Have you seen that meme with like the two books and like there's a big book that says Planetarian and then a small book be Planetarian if he shot you maybe.
Oh my god, that's a meme? Oh,
Yeah, I should show you later.
I guess so. Are we gonna get a choice to do that? I hope not.
No, there are no choices in this game.
Oh, okay. Okay. It was impossible to tell at this point whether the machine had been in the middle of being disassembled and repaired, or whether all this stuff had been accumulated here for some other purpose. The chaos from the time of this city's abandonment was thus left preserved right here, even to this day. While the variety of parts was staggering, it did not seem as if there was anything worth taking back with me. On the pedestal where the machine stood, there was an inscription engraved on it, an old, tarnished metal plate. Planetarian projector, manufactured by Carl Zeiss, Jena. The oldest twin sister ball style projector in operation today. Miss Jena, huh? It would seem that what the robot was saying was not total nonsense after all. Was this twin star ball style projector some kind of optical observation device? Even if it was so, the dome was airtight and didn't seem to be retractable, and the concentric guest seating made no sense either. But no matter what the original purpose of this facility had been, it was now nothing more than a meaningless historic ruin. It was unnecessary to stay here any longer. I quickly gathered my equipment and put on my half-dried waterproof cloak. And then I could faintly hear a voice coming from beyond the open door.
Why don't you come to the planetarium?
She's talking to someone?
The beautiful twinkling of eternity that will never fade, no matter what. All the stars in the sky are waiting for you. Mr. Customer, thank you so much for coming. You are exactly our 2,497,291st customer.
Oh, there's another customer. Well, somebody said nothing. I could hardly believe my ears, but I had to confirm it. There's another customer. I walked along the arc-shaped corridor. Sure enough, light and the sound of rain intruded once again on my path. I quieted my footsteps and slowly rounded the corner. This was the reception area of the facility. Although the eaves probably had once stretched all the way to the entranceway, now there was nothing left but the skeletal framework of an arch. Everything from there on out was under the dominion of the rain. Inside the counter were two plain chairs, a data terminal connected to an old-style CRT monitor, a cluttered stack of papers and books, copying equipment, a megaphone, a flashlight, All of these things, never used to be again, had been soaked in water, rusted, faded away, and had quietly forgotten their original functions. And the rain, feigning ignorance as always, was continuing to fall. There was little here to remind me what a disaster yesterday had been, except for just one thing. That robot was standing like an abandoned watchdog beside the broken glass doors, totally oblivious to the fact that she was getting drenched in the downpouring rain. She was smiling gently, her hands clasped in front of her. Oh no, she's getting hit by the corrosive rain.
Oh no, she's gonna catch
No.
coronavirus.
No.
Why don't you come to the planetarium?
She addressed the deserted rooftop once again.
The beautiful twinkling of eternity that will never fade, no matter what.
Oh, that's sad when you think about it, because it has kind of faded. Like the planetarium or what do you call it? Jaina doesn't work. There's no stars outside.
Aw,
Yeah.
that's true. All the stars in the sky are waiting for you.
Like a flawless actress, she repeated the exact same words over and over. And then she turned toward me.
Hello there, Mr. Customer. How are you doing? If you are still not feeling well, then...
I fell asleep. That is all. The robot blinked curiously. Now that I was looking at her under natural light, I could see her peculiar clothing, which seemed to be made of chemically treated cloth, was filthy and in some places had a ragged texture.
if you are healthy, then that is the most important thing. Even so, how about resting for a little while longer? I will be contacting the department store medical office soon.
Oh, I was happy for her concern, but I truly did not believe that any aid would come. What are you clamoring about out here?
I'm sorry, but why do you say that I was making a clamor?
You were speaking even though there was no one around, were you not?
Yes, I was practicing my speeches. Since one never knows when a customer might come around, I must be here to greet that customer with perfect posture.
I I see. As I spoke this suitable response, I looked around the vicinity for any unnatural signs, and at one side of the counter, I noticed a display case, like that found in a jewelry store. Oh, excuse me. I could just barely make out the inscription opera glasses, pendants, and handbooks on the case.
Would you like to buy a souvenir? If so, how about our solid state constellation chart? It is our #1 seller.
No, I'll pass. She blocked the muzzle of my gun by displaying a warped plastic disc. Oh, a CD.
If that is the case, then how about a poster? We have one depicting the 12 constellations of the zodiac, printed with special glow-in-the-dark ink.
I'll pass.
If that is the case, then how about our original zodiac pendants? Right now, we are selling them in special crystal cases, making them most suitable as presents.
I'll pass.
If that is the case,
It seemed that it was not important for her that the souvenirs she was recommending would soon be trashed, even in the best of circumstances. I had never met such a persistent seller at any trading post I'd been to. Having confirmed that there was nothing else moving in the vicinity, I raised the muzzle of my gun. What time is it right now?
it is currently 3:31 p.m. The next projection will start in 29 minutes.
It seemed that I had slept for almost an entire day. The concept of a single global standard time had been lost long, long ago. While I did not know how accurate her internal clock was, I decided that when in Rome, I might as well do as the Romans do. I wound up my watch and adjusted the time on it to 3:31 p.m. This meant that even though it was bright right now, there was not much time left until sunset. If I wanted to move from here, it would be a race against time. What a bother. The moment that I turned to go, she cocked her head dubiously.
Mr. Customer? seem to be in an awful hurry. But if you wait for 18 more minutes, then the admission period for the next projection will be over, and we can easily find you a seat with a better view.
She gently gave me advice with a pure smile. That device is broken though, right?
That device? Oh, you mean Miss Jenna?
Correct.
Yes, Miss Jenna is currently out of order.
The robot continued reassuringly, living not a moment for even a single question.
I have urgently contacted our maintenance staff, so I hope that they will arrive soon and perform emergency repairs.
Where was she getting the optimism to be expecting such things from anyway? Sorry, but I dislike waiting. I was about to turn away from her, but her supplicating gaze caught me.
If that is the case, then how about shopping in our department store while repairs are conducted? If you would like, there are some great discount coupons I can print out for you.
Saying this, she produced a card from one of her ear slots.
Here you go. This may be used anywhere in the department store.
I ignored the scrap of paper that she was presenting to me with a smile. I had already carefully inspected the lower floors yesterday. The basement, where the commodity stores were probably located, had already been completely submerged in water. The other floors were in similarly bad shape. Only rats and mold would be pleased about the broken glass, the collapsed walls, and the remains of clothes and electrical appliances that were fashionable 30 years ago. Shopping is not a hobby of mine.
If that is the case, there is a food court on the 6th floor. There is food from Japan, Europe, and China on the menu there, and has a wonderful atmosphere. So why not take in a nice meal?
You know, I would love to do so if it were possible, but...
I'm terribly sorry, but if I had said or done something to offend you...
Look, that is not it. Who the hell's gonna fix it?
It? Oh, you mean Miss Jenna?
Yes, that utterly incomprehensible device. When you told me that it would show me the stars yesterday, it didn't work, did it now? Although I said it gently, whoops. Although I said it
gently for you.
Yeah. Although I said it gently so she would understand, I did not have the tolerance to stand her for much longer.
Yes, I am sorry for the trouble I caused you because of that, but please do not worry about it. I will be able to contact the staff very soon, and they will come and repair Miss Jenna in no time.
Press X to doubt.
Mr. Customer? Could it be that you're not feeling well?
She again asked me apprehensively. I desperately stifled the rising urge to scream into the rain-filled sky. I had heard that these robots would never disobey a human being, nor would they ever allow a human being to come to harm. If this were true, then it was obvious that this robot's pattern of behavior was totally deranged. It wasn't necessary to stay with her any longer. Fine. Wait, that's you. Wait, no, that's me?
Okay, that's you.
That's me. Fine. I'll be below, so contact me when repairs are finished. With my finger on the safety of my gun, I chose my words with great care.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
She replied, shutting her huge eyes tightly with happiness.
I am very glad. To tell you the truth, I was quite worried, since I thought that you had become displeased because I made a careless mistake.
Aw. She turned to me with a face that seemed almost radiant with evening dew.
We robots take joy in serving you humans and in putting you at ease.
She clasped her hands in front of her chest and squeezed them tightly as if there was something most valuable within them. Her words were full of honest pride, her delicate actions filled with kindness, and her smiling face was ineffably gentle. These robots, without a scrap of malice in them, were treasures that had been destroyed, along with the old world. Treasures indeed, even if they had been programmed to act that way from the start.
Now then, when the projector is repaired, I will broadcast it over the building PA system. I will get in contact with the staff now, and we will commence repairs immediately.
Sure. Hi. I replied, though the words were sticking in my throat. Also, yeah, she is definitely a treasure.
Aw, she's precious.
I hope her batteries don't run out. I hope they're solar rechargeable batteries. Wait, there's no
Solar.
sun. Oh no. Uh...
As I promised you yesterday, we have a special commemoration projection prepared just for you. So please remind me when you come back. I will keep your bouquet safe with the utmost care as well. To tell you the truth, you will be the first to view the commemorative projection. All our staff worked so hard to produce it, so I too will play my role in this without a single mistake.
Oh, I think I know where this game is going. But this so-called commemorative projection would never attract any people. Not today, not tomorrow, and not any day after that. So all the staff worked, I guess, to make this projection, and then I guess they had to abandon the planetarium because of the war starting, and
Yeah,
I guess
she just got left behind.
yeah, and I guess no one has actually seen the projection yet. Then
I guess, because it's supposed to be for your 2.5 million customer celebration, and they're not even there yet.
Yeah. Wow. Maybe I'm starting to think maybe what's gonna happen is we gotta go repair Jaina, and then we get to see the projection. I hope. Well, I guess no spoilers, but that's what I think this is going to go to, and I hope we get to see it. All right, here we go. On the rooftop of a forgotten ruin, a broken robot, and a broken robot alone, was looking forward to the future with happiness, her eyes full of life. She was waiting for customers who would never in all eternity come, even to this day. There was nothing more than pain waiting for me here if I were to stay any longer. Yeah, that is pretty sad. I flipped on the hood of my waterproof cloak and stepped out into the rain.
I will be awaiting your return with all my heart.
I could tell that she was bowing very deeply toward me. I could feel her eyes on my back, seeing me off as she would be doing so forever. As if she would be doing so forever. Oh no, he's just gonna leave?
Oh, goodbye. That's the whole game.
Well, that's it. Oh, achievement unlocked. The Junker's Reverie 1 at reception. Well, I'm out.
Oh, we're back.
Wait a minute. Oh. It was already getting late into the night. I guess he came back?
I truly beg your pardon. Be asking this of a customer.
The indoor lighting brightened the room considerably, with its rays floating up to the top of the dome. Oh, she was gazing at the things in my hands with a worried look on her face. I am not a customer.
No, you are a most cherished customer.
Look, no customers will ever be coming.
When I compare my base databases and my accumulated databases, I have no choice to believe that customers will surely come again.
We can make a bet if you want, but I'm telling you, no customers will ever be coming here again. She fell silent for a little bit, as if to mull over my words, and then she spoke tentatively.
However, you yourself did come to visit us just now, Mr. Customer. So
Look, I am not. Even as I tried to respond, I involuntarily found myself at a loss for words. Just what was I doing? I was already sick and tired of hanging around this dead city. I should have been moving as quickly as possible to get to the quarantine wall before nightfall. Yet somehow, I found myself not moving at all. And on top of that, right now I found myself with a rusty tool in one hand and a can of machine oil in the other. Oh, is he fixing Jaina? I've got to explain to her, I guess. So look, a war broke out, and it's continued for many years. As a result, all the people of this world died. Those who survived.
God, the end.
Those who survive now have no interest in things like stars. Everything from the time you remember has completely changed. Do you understand? I explained patiently but emphatically, holding a screwdriver in one hand. She once again cocked her head as if she was mulling things over. And only after 10 seconds did she open her mouth again.
I have attempted to query the support center's databases for information corresponding to your statement, but I have been unable to connect. I beg your pardon, Mr. Customer.
Uh, After tilting her head back from its 15-degree angle, she responded to me in a low voice. I noticed that she always did this when she could not understand what I was saying. However, her ignorance and her lack of understanding were most probably not her fault, because intelligence was not a necessary trait for a robot to faithfully execute the duties given to it. Well.
That, that's
Oh,
pretty good. That's a pretty good burn.
yeah. Nanimonai says, she's trying, and that's what matters.
That is what matters. She's doing her best.
Yeah, it definitely is. uh, well, that was all. But, but even if, wait,
Wait. I think it's me.
yeah,
But even if they have no business in this place, I think of all who come here as important customers.
yeah, you probably do. Right now, I was literally whittling away my life by helping her. Therefore, I could not rest in peace unless I was at least getting treatment worthy of a guest of honor. Right. So, what was I doing in elbow deep in Greece?
Oh, yes. There is something that happened before. A little boy once came to me carrying a broken toy of his. It seemed that he thought that a robot would surely have the ability to repair his toy.
She smiled as she reminisced, clasping her hands to her chest. It felt somewhat strange to see her speaking in such an ironically polite manner to so much like a human being. Oh.
In the end, I contacted the toy store on the 5th floor, and they made a special exception and repaired his toy free of charge. But at that time, I was truly worried.
You know, a quick one-shot reference, but do you think she's tamed? Like, did people treat her like a human?
I guess so. I mean, if this was a one-shot world, then I think she would be considered tamed.
It's okay. We believe that she's real. That's what
Yeah,
matters.
yeah. We're treating her as real, so she's real in our hearts.
She's more real than the MC even.
Probably. She's more human than the MC. Even if they have no business for the planetarium here, I just could not allow a customer to feel disappointed.
Aw. As her chatter eventually managed to come to an end, I finally understood the truth of the situation around me. First of all, this building was really not a camouflaged military facility, but a simple department store. Yeah.
You're a little slow.
Took
On
long
the
enough
uptake.
to figure it out. My impression from the shape of the roof, that there might have been an aerial defense radome housed within, and my subsequent infiltration into the building to see what I could scavenge, were completely in vain. To my utter dismay, what I had found seemed to have been an amusement attraction that showed paying customers a view of the stars. As she had so helpfully explained, she had worked alongside her human co-workers, but had been abandoned here amidst the confusion of the citywide evacuation. In this case, her co-workers had made a critical mistake. They didn't they didn't erase her memory, nor did they remember to switch off the power generator. So they're saying that the critical mistake is that they didn't like put her down.
I guess.
Oh. So she's like just keeps waking up every
Maybe
like
they didn't want to. Maybe they did it on purpose.
I guess they wouldn't have known if like I don't know. But yeah, maybe they just rushed off and they didn't bother and she just keeps waking
Yeah.
up and like greeting people. I wonder if she was doing this during the war. Like, would she like wake up and there'd be like explosions going off, and she'd be
It's
just
like,
like,
welcome to the planetarium. And then,
"It's a noisy day outside today."
oh, are they fireworks?
Yeah, every day is the golden week. Because it seemed that the emergency power generator in this Flower Crest department store somehow ended up siphoning electricity from a still functioning military power conduit. Since this floor of the building drew an insignificant amount of current in total, its power supply continued to be uninterrupted even in the midst of the citywide evacuation. And consequently, what happened? Once every year, or, as she would so precisely put it, for just 168 hours out of every 8,784 hours, she awoke out of hibernation. When her internal clock indicated 9:50 a.m., she would arise, open the doors to the reception area, and wait for customers to come. When it indicated 7 p.m., she would lock the doors, and when it indicated 12:03 a.m., she would go into sleep mode, switching back to normal mode at 9 a.m. the next morning. And 168 hours after her last restart, her batteries exhausted, she would plug herself back in, falling into a deep sleep for the next 8,616 hours until the trickle of current recharged her. This had continued with incredible punctuality over the last 30 years, like a sacred ritual within this dead city, all without anyone knowing it. In other words, she was operational for less than a week out of the entire year. And what all this meant was that a luckless junker who didn't understand anything about the situation simply appeared on the scene as if he had specifically aimed for that week. There was something deeply wrong about the strange way she had welcomed me, all right. However, what was most troubling above all else was that she didn't understand a thing about what happened to the world while she was asleep. She obstinately believed that her coworkers had gone on a long vacation, and that as the fads of society came and went, customers would return without fail. The fads of fireworks is really big right now. It's been big for a while. Oh, you know, I was just thinking, like, it's a good thing no one ever came here and was like, "Oh, this stupid robot. I'm a junker with no heart. I'm gonna power her down."
And then blew her up.
Oh my god, yeah, that's even worse. Oh, yeah, I'm glad. Even the other guy who apparently had been here before, I guess, he just let
left.
live. Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice of him.
The fads. Oh.
Mr. Customer, I just thought about this. But do you not need this tool?
Just then, she busily rummaged through the toolboxes and presented a tool split down the middle. I don't.
Is that so?
She put the rust-drenched wrench back into the toolbox with a completely disappointed look. Oh, I'm asking nicely now. Stop doing unnecessary things.
I understand. But as the current situation is completely the fault of our planetarium, I cannot just stand here silently and observe.
Just shut up and watch. That's the most helpful thing you can do for me.
Yes. Order acknowledged.
She replied so meekly, but I had already heard those words from her lips 100 times before. There was one other thing that I couldn't help being shocked by. It was this device she called Miss Jaina. Even in my earliest memories, the atmosphere had already started to become deranged. It was rare to even be able to see the sun during the daytime, and as for the stars, I simply knew that they existed and nothing more. The Earth revolved around the sun, and the moon revolved around the Earth. Galaxies, nebulae, constellations, the Milky Way, comets, asteroids, shooting stars, traveling missionaries would preach to us about them in reverent voices, as if they were reciting verses from their mold-written holy books. And by this time, they had all perished. It seemed that this device was something that professed to reproduce the complex and mysterious revolutions of the celestial spheres by way of a staggering number of lenses, electrical light bulbs, and gears. This was far too primitive and inefficient, even in comparison to the most basic of holovids or
HoloLive?
or the most basic of VTubers or retinal projections. I wonder if they had VTubers before the war.
Oh yeah, instead of showing the stars, they could show VTubers.
Yeah, you can watch a concert. Therefore, I couldn't help but feel that her comments about their lack of customers recently were merely a matter of course.
tell you the truth, it is inevitable that Miss Jenna would develop mechanical faults, as she has been here for longer than even I have.
Huh. As if she had seen the expression on my face, she began to talk.
However, after I was first activated here, besides minor repairs to her electrical systems and a total upgrade of her computer consoles, Miss Jenna had never troubled us with complete systemic failure up until this point.
She tirelessly repeated that same excuse that I had heard so many times over. Since I wasn't actively engaging her in dialogue, she once again started to rummage through the tools. I soon found the cause of the projector's breakdown. All of the exposed moving parts were covered with grease to the point that it would not be a lie to call them deluged in the stuff. The maintenance crew probably applied this much grease during the citywide evacuation in order to protect it from rust. Oh, that's nice of them. Huh. So I guess they thought they were coming back.
I guess so, yeah.
Since the grease had been applied even up to the motor's indicator lights, it was obvious that the thing wouldn't work. The first thing I had to do was polish the terminal contacts to the degree that they probably were before. As I carefully chipped away at the pitch-black, caked-on grease with a screwdriver, a mass of the stuff came falling out from the complex gear interfaces and from openings in the frame.
Ew.
Oh, Leo is raiding. Hey, what's up, Leo?
Oh, Leo.
Oh, he's got a
Welcome,
new...
welcome.
welcome. Oh, he's got a new emote, too. It's like a guy doing a strongman pose. Like, ugh!
Wow. So strong.
Nice. Well, thank you everybody who's coming for the raid, and hope
Yeah,
you
thank
enjoy the
you.
stream.
Welcome to our playthrough of Planetarian.
All right.
Yeah, Planetarian, in case you don't know, is it's a visual novel that involves this robot girl, and she really likes the stars, and there's this guy who's really depressed, and now he's fixing the planetarium.
Yeah. There was kind of like this war that happened 30 years ago, and it lasted for 10 years. And then it's kind of, how like the Matrix, the sky is gone and it's full of clouds. It's kind of like that now. It's raining constantly, and there's like almost no people left. And...
Yeah, everyone's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, but this one girl, I guess, she like wakes up once a year and tries to invite customers to come to the planetarium. And she thinks we're a customer, but we're just like this guy who's trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah, that's basically the story.
Yep. Yeah, and so yeah, but her planetarium broadcasting machine is broken, so we're fixing it for her. Well, so this was a primitive method of doing things, but I had no other choice.
Mr. Customer, it may just be me, but I think that this tool could be quite useful.
The thing that she was holding out to me was with an incredibly warm smile, was a carpenter's ball-peen hammer. Put that down and go get me some more rags.
Yes, right away.
I replaced the screwdriver in my belt and grabbed a new rag. It seemed that the globes at both ends of the gyroscope were called fixed star balls. There were countless number of circular holes on the surface of the balls, with tubes mounted onto the edges of each of the holes, sticking up like windshield wipers. According to her, each of these holes were packed with lenses. At the end of each fixed star ball, there was an even smaller ball. Of course, there were countless tiny lenses packed onto these ones as well. On top of that, there were two identical sets of lenses clustered at the midpoint of the framework that bound to the high and low fixed star balls together. I would have to polish every single one of these lenses one by one. The scope of this was absolutely mind-boggling.
I am terribly sorry, but it seems like you're not talking much, Mr. Customer.
That's because I have no one to talk to.
To tell you the truth, I like talking very much.
Really?
Really, yeah.
It's news to me.
An introvert's biggest fear.
Yeah. Huh. Huh, I figured as much.
Yes, that is exactly it. Whenever I would talk with various customers, how should I put this? I felt as if I was enriching my heart. Have you ever felt that way before, Mr. Customer?
I don't know if this guy has a heart left to enrich.
Oh no.
Like, everybody's
I mean,
dead. His
he's
best friend
here
died.
fixing the thing. He kind of has a heart.
That's true. Like, he probably should be out, like, scavenging for food and stuff, because I think he only has, like, 3 biscuits left to eat. That's not a lot. But, like,
Yeah.
instead of scavenging for food, he's just repairing this machine.
Yeah, so he has a little bit of a heart.
Yeah.
Small one.
A small one. Oh, I should also mention that, like, there was this team of people that I guess they were used to run the planetarium, and they made this, like, big, amazing presentation for their 2,500,000th customer. But before they showed it to anyone, they had to evacuate the planetarium because the war started. So, yeah. So we're gonna try to fix this machine and hopefully see the presentation that they poured all their kind of heart and soul into before they all died.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Alright. I paid her no heed, nor did I bother to stop what I was doing.
Mr. Customer, would you mind if I asked you something?
Just what is it this time?
How long do you estimate it will take for your repairs on Miss Jenna to be complete?
Who knows? I don't have a clue.
Will it be in time for tomorrow's 11 a.m. projection?
Oh, that's impossible. It'll take at least another day. It would take another day, that was, if my patience and strength lasted that long.
If that is the case, then would it be okay for me to put out a notice that tomorrow's projections will be postponed?
Do as you wish.
Acknowledged. I will register this as a critical directive.
She still hasn't figured out. Like, we tried to tell her that everybody is dead and that there will be no other customers, but she doesn't really believe us. So she just kind of goes about her merry way.
Nah, no one's dead. They're just at home quarantining themselves from the coronavirus.
Yeah. I think the way she justifies it to herself is that there's new fads that have come along that are more entertaining than the planetarium, and everyone's just busy having fun doing other things for the last 30 years.
Yeah, absolutely everyone in the world.
Yeah, like enjoying the nuclear bomb-shaped fireworks. Oh, hey, Big Mac, what's up?
Hey, Big Mac. Welcome.
Welcome. We're streaming Planetarian. It's interesting. We kind of just summarized the what's going on, but yeah, it's a good VN. Okay, I've got to read this line. Well, I was completely taken aback by her declaration, which had been delivered with an absolutely serious tone. Was this to say that her duties as a customer service representative and as an usher were this deeply engraved within her? I had to try it. Don't speak. Register this as a critical directive.
Yes, order acknowledged.
She bowed deeply. After all, this was a robot that I was speaking to. Utterly devoted servant of mankind. Big Mac says it's all chill. Sounds like an interesting VN. I think it's really interesting, but it's also really sad because everyone's dead. But there's like this robot girl still trying to like.
Yeah, but we have this happy robot girl, and that's all
Yeah.
you need in life, right? Moving along, I think that you will soon use this tool, since you haven't used it yet, according to my knowledge.
Well, I guess the critical directive didn't work.
I guess it doesn't matter in her head.
So it won't be that easy after all, huh?
Yes? What is it?
No, it's nothing. I'm an idiot for expecting such things.
If there is something I can do to help you repair Miss Jenna, please order me to do so. I will help you with all my heart.
I get it. So please stop trying to hand me random tools.
Yes, order acknowledged.
Fine. So first of all, put down those pliers.
If I do so, then does that mean that this tool will not be used?
Can you just clamp your mouth shut with it?
Is she gonna try?
Oh.
I beg your pardon, but I do not understand what you mean.
Do you really not get it? Baka.
Baka. Yes, that being that, I truly believe that this tool here is just waiting for you to use it, Mr. Customer.
Aw. Look, just listen to what I'm saying.
Yes? What is it? Oh
He
no.
didn't say anything. Oh, thanks for the follow, Yuchen Sensei Yami. Oh, hey Yami.
Oh, yummy. Welcome,
Welcome,
welcome.
welcome. Yeah, we're playing this VN where humanity is dead, but except for this one guy and like stragglers, and this girl's trying to run a planetarium for the humanity that's not there anymore.
Hey, yeah, basically. How are you guys doing today, by the way?
Hope it's a
Doing
bright
good,
day.
I hope.
Hope it's not raining over there like it is in this world 24/7.
I hope it's just chill. We're just chilling, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Yami says, just dropping by to say hi. It's past bedtime. Seems interesting, though.
Oh,
I'm doing great today. Oh, that's great.
yay! Thank you for stopping by.
Mm-hmm.
Hope you have good sleep.
Yep, have a good night. Maybe, hopefully, the game will put you to sleep. Oh, what's up,
Yeah.
Legendary Jewel OW?
Hi, Jewel. Welcome, welcome.
Welcome. Yosh, so, I had been polishing the innumerable array of lenses for hours, assailed all the while by the robot's irritating chatter. It was at this time that I noticed a large hole, entirely bereft of lenses, on the other side of the fixed star ball that I was currently working on. Two long cords, seemingly disconnected from whichever ports they were supposed to be plugged into, hung listlessly from the edge of that hole. It was not that difficult to guess what was originally supposed to be installed there. You said this contraption projects a view of the stars using light bulbs, right?
Yes, that is correct. It is said that the ancient Greek scholar Archimedes invented the first planetarium.
Enough with the history lesson. I want to know about the light bulbs used in this machine.
Yes, sir. Miss Jenna's fixed star projectors utilize 1000-watt incandescent light bulbs. Of course, in this day and age of LED backlights and diode bulbs, older filament style bulbs become that much more difficult to find.
Look, those difficult to find light bulbs of yours are nowhere to be found now.
Sir?
She tilted her head slightly, and along with the faint hum of a micrometer, she inspected the projector from top to bottom. Oh, also, thanks for the follow, Legendary Jewel OW.
Hey, thank you for the follow.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome, welcome.
Unfortunately, I don't have a follower notification sound yet, but
Woo!
Okay. All right, let's get this bulb.
You are correct. The light bulbs for the fixed star balls of the southern hemisphere and the northern hemisphere are not installed.
Oh. She said it calmly, as if she'd known about it from the very beginning. So how were you planning on projecting anything if you didn't have any light bulbs?
The same question had occurred to me as well, but when I asked Mr. Manager about it, he merely said that it was nothing to worry about, that it was just a modification on the specifications of the projector.
That's not true though, is it now? She was silent for a few seconds, as if trying to grasp the reality of the situation. And then she smiled gently.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. I have updated my databases to that effect.
It was hard for me not to think that she was the one who really needed repairing, not the projector. Do you have backup light bulbs?
Yes, we have 4 of them left in stock.
It was extremely doubtful that the light bulbs that had been in storage for over 30 years would still be operational. I would have to test them before putting them in. With a sigh, I wiped the grease off my hands with a rag. Well then, where are the light bulbs? Are they somewhere in this pile of junk?
Yes, right over there.
She motions as if to point a finger, but then for some reason halted mid-motion. She smoothly turned her head to look at me, with not a single variation in the motion of her neck.
Mr. Customer, I'm sorry to bother you, but in 3 minutes it will become 12 a.m. and as per protocol, I will switch into sleep mode.
The way she said it made it sound like a sincere apology, and yet her tone was completely implacable. Without waiting for me to reply, she briskly alighted from the projectile pedestal. And then, in one fluid motion, she bent her hips, pulled down one of the chairs in the front row, and settled into it as if to say it was a very special seat. The half-repaired machine, its two steel spheres hanging to either side, loomed directly in front of her.
Activation out of sleep mode will occur at 9 a.m. Until then, good night.
And she simply closed her eyes. Hey, wait! It wasn't as if she could have heard me anyway. It hadn't even taken her a second to fall asleep. I wish I could do that.
The power of falling asleep in 1 second.
Body enters sleep mode. To be more accurate, that wasn't sleep at all. It was just that she, who had stopped her every last movement, had totally changed the atmosphere of the place. A life-size doll, lovely in its exacting precision, totally bereft of the rising and lowering chest or the trembling eyelashes as well as sleeping human. The smile that had floated to her lips just before she had gone into sleep mode remained pasted there. Ah, damn. Just how many times had I cursed in this one day?
Wow, what a dirty mouth.
Oh my gosh. So, I dropped the tools to the ground. As the sharp metallic ringing died off. Do I have anything to make that sound effect?
You don't have to.
I have a can here, but it's got...
Not unless you have like a pipe to throw on the ground.
No, I don't usually have a pipe just lying around.
That's a shame.
Maybe if you drop your pipe.
Oh yeah, let me just go grab it.
As the sharp metallic ringing died off, the only thing that was left was this feeling of stupidity so overwhelming that I wanted to burst into laughter. I looked up at the giant projector. That machine of the fallen world with its countless lenses was presiding over the solemn silence, not unlike the hundred-eyed Argus of legend. The antics of that robot, who was dead asleep at the very heart of the sarcophagus city, these old worn parts and tools, which seemed to eagerly await the very resurrection of the people to whom they once belonged. I bent over and retrieved a screwdriver, and then I returned to the prison of Greece. After all, the early bird catches the worm. I had no choice but to console myself thus.
Sounds busy. You're working all day, all night.
Achievement unlocked. Repairing the projector.
You did it?
I hope so. Okay, so this is a flashback to, I guess, during... This is probably after the war, but during, like, the 20 years of rain and... Yeah.
I don't know. We will see.
20 years of survival. I thought I heard someone cry out. But even when I opened my eyes, I could not see a single thing. Still lying flat, I moved my arms and fingers, and sluggishly fumbled at the airtight buckle. I ignored the shrill integrity. Hold on, can I turn that? Is that volume good for you, or?
Yeah, it's fine. I can't really hear it.
Oh, okay,
But it's fine.
That's probably
If it's
good.
too loud, you can turn it down though.
That's probably good there. Just loud enough to be slightly annoying, as it should be. I ignored the shrill integrity breach alert as if it were a sound out of a harmless dream, and tore off my mud-encrusted face mask. In the raw air, now unchecked by any filters, rushed into my dry throat. I gulped down breaths as if every one would be my last, and then I surveyed the tableau that had been painted before my very eyes. Alarm sound fading away. The first thing I saw was rain. The film of light rain rose like a curtain of smoke, obscuring my field of vision with its vagueness. It seemed as if I was on top of a small hill. There was no sign of any human life. The adults had all disappeared during the time I was dozing. I already knew that there was a defect in my hazmat suit. That was why I was deserted. During this march, I had with my own eyes seen several people simply sit in the rubble, and then cease to move altogether, as if they had become giant dolls. However, I was too tired to despair. The only thing I could feel was relief over the fact that I would not have to walk any more. The mind resounded through an atmosphere now bereft of grass or trees. Clouds as filmy as oil paper enveloped my entire field of vision like some kind of burial shroud. I stared emptily up at the sky, my cheeks smeared with the warmth of mud. So yet another colony was being burned to the ground. The light shining through the low clouds, clad in thick orange radiance. It was coming from the place that the adults had kept insisting was just a little farther away. The very place at which they had promised that pure drinkable water, edible food, beds, and new friends of the same age as us were waiting. I gazed at it
Hmm.
like a machine, without any particular feeling at all. Oh wow. I guess that was when he was a kid and wow.
Mr. Customer?
Uh,
Nice. Good morning, Mr. Customer.
were you the one trying to wake me?
Yes, sir.
I was dreaming.
Oh, how wonderful. Was it a good dream?
No.
As I am a robot, I am incapable of dreaming. But how shall I put it? I have very much longed to.
Most dreams are not worth longing after.
Is that so?
A pair of childlike eyes continued to gaze at me. Happy music, yay!
Let's switch to the happy stuff.
Yay! It's not like he just saw his refuge burned down when he was a kid. uh, I cleared some of the cobwebs from my mind and grew aware of the situation around me. At this rate, it would probably not be long before I held conversations with this robot as if it were the most natural thing in the world.
Oh, speaking of which, Mr. Customer, how are you doing? If you are still not feeling so well,
Look, I said this yesterday as well, but I am not sick.
acknowledged. Please excuse me.
She replied almost grudgingly, as if she wanted to treat me as a patient no matter what. As I started to rise from my chair, once again I realized that there was something very strange sitting on my lap. It looked almost like a gigantic drop of water. On one end of the thing was a glass sphere about as large as a child's head, and in the middle of which was entrapped a taut antenna like wire, and the other end was tapered into a large bore screw threads. It looked. Oh, there were four of these glass spheres in total, and they had been carefully lined up before me. Oh my god, don't break them. Like he wakes up
Oh
and like,
no.
ugh! Then they
Ah!
all fall.
Throws it on the floor.
Yeah. I'm not making that sound effect though. I picked up the one on my lap and stared at it. The surface of the glass was cold as ice, and the entire thing was very light. I then very gingerly put the fragile thing on the floor, taking care not to break it. Oh, so are these the light bulbs?
Yes, I gathered them while you slept, Mr. Customer.
Where did you find them?
They are stored in a locked cabinet underneath that console over there, as there have been cases where it became necessary to switch out bulbs in the middle of a projection.
There was a black desk similar to a church organ against the back wall. This, then, was probably the operations console for the projector. On it was arrayed a bank of exaggeratedly large switches, like those seen on a child's toy. They were probably expressly built that way for easy operation in the darkness.
Mr. Customer? May I ask a question?
Nani?
Nani? I know you have just gotten up, but may I inquire as to the status of repairs on Miss Jenna?
There's still a long way to go. Its status is unchanged from last night.
I see.
She quietly knit her brows, looking very despondent.
In that case, I will announce that projections have been postponed for the day.
Announced to nobody. Hi.
Announce to our stream that has 0 viewers.
Yeah. Aw, I know that feeling. At my response, she abruptly turned around like a weather vane and then left the projection room. Sate. Now then. I picked up a light bulb, held it at arm's length, and inspected it. Repairing the projector was going to be much harder than I had originally thought. To use a simile, the machine was like a precision watch which had been blown out of proportion. It had to have been a century old at the very least. The exterior had been built without any regard for ease or efficiency of maintenance, and the core had been engineered with such precision that it was nauseating. Indeed, even an expert engineer would have a hard time replacing individual parts of this apparatus. Its purpose was to take the magnificent rotations of the stars, hold them up within a sphere of roughly 20 meters in diameter, and reproduce them flawlessly. It stood there as if to say that it was interested in no business other than that. Unfortunately, the time for fine craftsmanship and philosophy had vanished from this earth over 30 years ago. Once I removed the shell that housed the power unit, a terrible spectacle unfolded. The areas uncoated by grease had gone deep red with rust. The bearings were fused, and the lead sheet was crumbling away. There was no way I was going to be able to jury-rig this one. Its plight was so desperate that nothing short of winch suspension and total overhaul would help it. I had tested out every last part in the heap of junk to see if it might be of use, but as it stood, I was going to be unable to repair more than a few of the auxiliary projectors. On the other hand, there was another machine that was operating more perfectly than I would have liked. Ouch.
Why don't you come to the planetarium? The beautiful twinkling of eternity will never fade, no matter what.
As I came to the reception area, canteen in hand, I heard her repeating her signature phrase to the raindrops.
Such unfortunate weather today, right, Mr. Customer?
When she realized that I was there, she started speaking to me with her usual good cheer. It appeared that the topic of the weather was universal small talk among both humans and robots then. Can't wait for him to say, like, yeah, it's been raining every single day that you've ever been awake for the last 30 years.
There you go.
Yep, that goes for today, yesterday, and all the days before that.
Yes, we seem to be having lots of rain this fall. It would be nice if it would clear up soon.
Oh. I suppose so.
She is beyond hope.
Yeah.
Well then, Mr. Customer, is there something you require of me?
I just came to get some water. I laid my canteen on the ground, affixed my water purifier to its mouth, and then set it to catch the water dripping down from the roof. She looked on at my every little action and the transparent raindrops flowing into my canteen as if she were seeing alchemy happen before her very eyes.
Mr. Customer? What will that rainwater be used for?
I will drink it. I am different from you. I do not have any water. If I do not have any water, then I cannot live. She cocked her head doubtfully at my words, and then seemed to be ruminating about something. Oh, so this is how humans work.
Humans must drink water. If you would like, I could prepare a beverage for you.
A beverage? I involuntarily echoed her words. I would have to be more careful in the future, as she had already demonstrated the capability to say things that completely were beyond my capability to anticipate or comprehend.
Yes, To tell you the truth, brewing tea is one of my specialties. Today is quite chilly. How about a cup of nice hot coffee?
I could just imagine her pouring dirty water into a non-existent teacup and bringing it to me with an honest smile on her face. Oh, the doctor instructed me never to drink any water that I did not draw myself.
Acknowledged. I have memorized this important piece of data about you, Mr. Customer.
The flippant response that I had reeled off was received with dead seriousness. Even now, I could not figure out her paradigm of operation. Uh, do you have any alcohol? Bottled distilled liquor with unbroken seals? Perfectly preserved cigarettes are fine as well. Those are things that are very important to me. I asked these things of her, allowing myself a sliver of hope.
Yes, we have those things.
She immediately broke into a smile so gentle that even the angels would covet it.
I know, I'm so
Oh.
jealous of her smile. I wish I could look like that.
Oh, time to do some editing. Really? Where?
Floor B1 of this department store has several places where high-grade liquor is sold.
Enough. I understand. I stopped her before she could offer to go down to those now submerged liquor shops to confirm that they still had what I wanted in stock. I sighed, and as I expelled the air in my lungs out into the atmosphere, I could feel almost all the strength in my body go with it. I plucked at my bangs instead. There was nothing to be done about it. In short, I was too hungry to care.
Mr. Customer? Are you not feeling well?
Something like a chronic disease. Don't worry about it.
Yes, acknowledged.
I guess she probably doesn't know humans need food either.
I think she does. She just doesn't realize that, like, there's no food left anywhere.
Yeah.
In that case, Mr. Customer, may I inquire about Miss Jenna and her current state of repairs?
Who knows? Even I can't say.
Is that to say at present you do not know when the repairs will be complete?
Yep, that's exactly it.
Is that so?
The canteen was finally full, and so I screwed the cover back on. Do you plan on standing here forever?
Yes. After all, I must be present to render an apology about the suspension of projections when customers come this way.
Oh, you're going to rust.
Please do not worry about that. My enclosure has Class 2 waterproofing, and so such a small amount of rain does not provide any hindrance to my operation.
Ooh, waterproofing. We could use some of that. Just,
Whoa. So advanced.
It's a good thing no one's taken her Class 2 waterproofing yet. Scavenged it.
It's like she's an iPhone.
Yeah. Hey Siri, please stop talking.
No, shh.
That's a critical directive, Siri.
Register this as a critical directive.
Is that so? I didn't know how good her waterproofing was, but she was definitely a first-class chatterbox. And if she's going to stay here and make a racket, then that meant the projection room would be left in relative peace. Oh, I'm gonna go back to work.
Very well. Please take care of Miss Jenna.
She made a profound gesture of gratitude. After that, she turned around to face the rain once more.
Why did you come to the planetarium?
Oh.
The beautiful twinkling of eternity that will never fade, no matter what.
Well, even if you try attracting customers, the projector is still beyond repair.
No, this is practice. One never knows when a customer might appear, so I must be present to greet him properly.
Soka. Alright, well, later.
Later.
Whatever you say. As I waved my hand over my shoulder, her voice once again rang out amidst the rain.
All the stars in the sky are waiting for you. Why don't you come to the planetarium?
Yeah. Except they're all gone. Forever.
Mm.
Well, stench of rust and sulfur wafted from the water. It was not the fault of the water purifier. Oh. No, the thing that was broken was the atmosphere of this little planet itself. Even if one could somehow extract rain directly from a rain cloud, the water that resulted would not be pure at all. If one dug for thousands of meters underground, one might strike upon a still untainted groundwater artery. But that was not a prize that a junker could put his hands on, and it was not worth its volume in alcohol anyway. As I thought these things, I unsealed my final MRE. The
Oh
hardtack.
no.
He's gonna starve. The hardtack biscuit had no flavor to it at all. If I stayed here any longer, I would die. Yet, I washed
Oh, he
down.
stays here.
So he stays here and fixes the projector. Yay! Uh, I washed down the biscuit that had become powder in my mouth with water from my canteen. I had seen death countless times, and I had also imagined my own death, what my own death would be like. A stream of blood cutting its way through filthy mud, violent steam rising from a thigh burned by a flamethrower mine, the intolerable stench of so many blisters, the feeling of bones shattering underfoot like so many fragile china, the sound of water drumming on the stock of an assault rifle stabbed through a burial mound, the weight of wet soil being shoveled down on an artificial flower that a mother had fashioned out of precious scraps of cloth. Surely this, too, was the way that my life would be erased. In an instant if I was lucky, and in several days of unbearable agony if I was not. The rain was the constant companion of death. Death thus had no jurisdiction of its own. The rain that did not cease would never allow such a thing. Yet now, the specter of my death was under a dry roof. It was there in this junk heap of parts, simple and artless like a child's doll, suffusing everything in the room. Oh God! Imagine if he actually passed away and the robot was still awake, and she's like, "Mr. Customer,
Oh, that would be so
let,
sad.
let me
Oh
call the medical
no.
teams. Oh, I can't get in contact with the
Oh,
medical
are you
teams.
asleep?
Are you? Oh, Mr. Customer, you've been sleeping for like a whole week. Oh,
Mr. Customer, you were sleeping here last year.
you look a little thin. You're all skin and bones. Oh. Oh, hey Yuma. Finally a break in work stuff. Hi. Oh,
Oh, Yuma. Welcome,
oh, welcome,
welcome.
welcome.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome, welcome.
Hi, Yuma. How are you doing today?
We were just talking about death. Oh,
Yeah, we were having a good time talking about people dying in the apocalypse, things like
mm-hmm.
that.
Oh, Yuma says, "How are you two doing? I hope the story is going well."
It's going good. Have you been
It's
watching the whole time, or did you just get here?
Nani Monai says, "Nothing like an eternal nap to stave hunger."
Yeah, it's like when you go to sleep at night, you like forget to eat dinner or something, and then you just go to sleep without eating dinner, and you're like, I'm gonna have sleep for dinner.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have sleep
What,
for
you never
dinner.
do that?
Oh, I fortunately
I have.
no.
I'm very
Oh,
experienced.
oh, oh no. No, Yuma says, apocalypse, huh? It's been muted in the background in my computer. Haven't been able to listen, sadly. I
Aw,
guess due to
it's
work.
okay. We're still gonna be here for
Mm-hmm.
a little while.
Unlike the robot girl, who's
Oh yeah. Unlike one of these guys, they're probably
yeah,
gonna starve to death.
yeah. One of them has no food left. The other, her batteries might run out at any point, and yeah.
The end. Press F in the chat.
Una, ru- Una reacts with ripping pepperonis.
Dripping pepperonis.
Yep.
I love that.
If there was any pepperoni left in the world. Well, let's get back to the fun. uh, okay, I read this part already. Nope. If I were just to raise a hand, I could partake in it at any time. Um, hmm. I still had a hard time believing that this was really happening. Well, as I removed the screws of the projector, one by one, it became increasingly difficult to remember where I was. It was almost as if I were disassembling my very own spirit right then and there. Time began to flow as vaguely as mist, and the world shrank to the narrow confines of this projector room. As I polished them, the precision lenses regained their frozen radiance one by one. Was the rain even falling outside right now? I could not even say that with confidence anymore. Dozens of hours ago, I was struggling to breathe in the midst of the rain. I had I had da- I had daubed my cheeks with mud in order to evade the thermal scans of the Menschenjägers. I could not recall anymore what I was afraid of that at that time. In this sarcophagus city, filled only with death, I was in the embrace of a broken machine and the subsystems under its rule. Like the fisherman of the old world legend who had been swallowed by a giant fish and then made the best of it by fishing inside the belly of the beast, I immersed myself in this work. Until I. Oh, he's having a flashback. Oh,
Is that mine? I think it's mine.
yeah, I think he's asleep.
Thank you for your work today, Mr. Customer.
Were there any customers?
No, there is only one today, and that would be you.
I see.
But I am confident that there will be many, very many customers tomorrow.
Uh.
Maybe.
And the evening was completely under her demesne?
Sure. Not sure what it means.
Okay. Domain? Oh,
I learned so many new words from reading visual novels.
I'm not sure if that's a real word or if they like typoed it at demesne.
Domain. Possession and use of one's own land. The
Oh,
grounds belonging to a feudal lord.
oh, wow,
So
neat.
it's very old.
A
Yeah.
demesne. Huh.
Domain. It sounds kind of like domain.
Hmm.
So like domain.
Demesne.
I think. And most recently, two of the latest 905 series have been assigned to the help desk at the main entrance.
Her soft voice resounded in the projection room, as if to soak it with light. In my current position, I could not see where she was. She was probably gazing away intently at the back, on my back, as I worked up on the stepladder.
They are both FT models, though they stand some 11 meters taller than me and look much more adult than I do. Their faceplates are custom made and are quite detailed.
Not content with just explaining herself, she had launched into a soliloquy about the functionalities of all her relatives, with pride.
It sounds like VTubers.
And this
Oh,
model,
and then
this model can
this
wink.
model.
Wink.
This model is a first generation VTuber. I rigged it myself. Oh, and the 905 models are able to shed tears.
Tears?
Yes, tears. Now, the two 905 units at our department store are purposed for reception of the public. That functionality has been disabled in their software. However, it is an established functionality first introduced in the predecessor models, the 9000 series. To be more detailed, such functionality is absolutely critical for the life-size mass-produced companion robot market.
Certainly that is important, or something. Oh, as I wound the leads around the terminals of the motor, I continued to try to my way out of the conversation.
Mr. Customer, may I ask you a question?
What?
Does it feel like to shed tears?
Who knows? I can't remember when I last cried.
Aw. I understand that tears are things that flow involuntarily in times of sorrow and pain, but
That's exactly how it is.
is that so?
I guess he shed too many tears as a kid, and now it's just
Or
like,
none at all.
oh, my friend died. Oh,
What? That sucks.
That sucks. Ripping pepperonis, man.
He's probably the kind of person that says, "Oh, F in the chat, boys."
Oh my god, F in the chat for my only friend.
My only friend, he just died 5 feet away from me. F
Yep.
in the chat.
Oh, her voice trailed off at the end. She was probably cocking her head doubtfully again.
I do not know how to put this, but I would very much like to be able to shed tears. As I am a bargain edition model, I do not have that functionality.
Oh, she's a bargain bin robot.
She's a bargain, yeah.
She's like the Walmart $5 part.
I bought her from Walmart.
She came with this defect where she never stops talking.
Yeah,
Oh.
I bought her off of eBay. A bargain edition off of eBay.
Oh, Nanimonai says, Mr. Customer has the realest streams. Feels so surreal.
Yeah. Hey everyone, welcome back to my Let's Play of the Apocalypse. Today we are collabing with this robot over here who I hate very much.
Hello, 0 viewers.
Alright, it's great to see all 0 of you here.
Yay. Guess what? It's raining today. Oh. Well, it's not such a good thing anyways.
Is that really so?
Yeah, it isn't. Her own duties finished, she refused to leave to be more accurate, her friend, the projector's, side. She was just as talkative as ever, but by this point I had grown accustomed to it. I had learned that the aggregate amount of conversation could be drastically shortened if I simply gave some response to every important conversational point, rather than ignoring her. It was the same way that one might play a companion to an old man who had grown fond of talking.
Mr. Customer, shouldn't we be affixing the light bulbs to the fixed star balls soon?
Oh, we're not ready for that yet. Just wait a bit longer.
Is that so?
And as a consequence of the restoration of electrical current in the machine, I had learned that of the 4 bulbs, only 2 were still functional. Those 2 bulbs would have to suffice for the projection. In other words, spares for them did not exist anywhere on this world. Now that the electricity to the projector had been restored, if during these repairs I touched a tool to the wrong place and caused a short, that would be the end of both the repair and me. Because I knew this, I was putting on the finishing touches very slowly. Move the latitude axis upward, little by little. Do it slowly.
Yes, sir. For your safety, please evacuate from the radius of revolution.
She replied with an earnest and professional tone. I got down onto the ground and leaned on the projector pedestal that the stepladder stood against. Oh, the manual console turned out to not be necessary in the operation of the projector after all. A thick communication cable stretched forth from the electrical operations panel located at the base of the machine's scaffolding. As she pulled on it, it wriggled on the floor, and after it coiled upon itself twice, it was interfaced with the connector located in her left ear. Huh. In other words, she and the projector were now connected by wire. Rather than being bizarre, it felt more like some kind of ritual lost in time. According to her, this was an emergency measure that I am ashamed to have to resort to, or something. As if to show off her embarrassment, her long information ribbon flashed through a sequence of highly exaggerated warming colors. Oh, I hope it animates that.
You'll just have to imagine it.
Yeah. While ordinarily she would be able to control the projector using RF signaling, just as she did with the air conditioning and the lighting, the projector's wireless receiver was completely broken and beyond my ability to repair. I'm clear. Go ahead.
Affirmative. Your safety has been confirmed. I will commence moving the projector now.
The old-style motor began to buzz like a horsefly on the verge of death. At the same time, the bearings creaked and the projector itself moved slightly. Oh. However, nothing happened. Nothing else happened.
Oh.
The smell of oil began to waft from the overheating engine, which was revving in vain to try to move the projector. Stop it.
Affirmative. The motor is now off.
That came out a little bit like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Stop it!
Stop it.
Stop! Get to the chopper! Okay, the horsefly-like buzzing died away and the silence washed back into the room. I got back on the stepladder and took another look. The waste heat radiating from the gearbox cover warmed my cheeks. Even after all I did, it still won't move, huh? What I knew was that there was no flaw in the motor itself. That said, whether the problem lay in too much friction on the main shaft, or in improperly engaged gears in the gearbox, or in some other kind of intractable problem. As I dug through my very limited knowledge base about this kind of thing, I could feel her eyes on me.
Mr. Customer, may I ask a question?
What is it?
Might there be an estimated time of completion for the repairs on Miss Jenna?
Oh, who knows? I can't even venture a guess at this point.
Do you think it will be in time for tomorrow's 11 o'clock projection?
I don't know. Pray to God if you like.
Which god should I pray to then?
As she very naturally reeled off this response, I stopped mid-motion. Wait, what did you say?
For instance, the ancient Greek gods, Zeus, Apollo, Hermes, Artemis, Demeter, Poseidon.
She continued this meandering litany for like a phonetic cipher from another world. Some of these names were familiar to me. Gaia and Persephone were the names of two fortress colonies long ago, and Atropos and Megara were the nicknames of the heavy mobile artillery platforms used to destroy them. Oh, well, you sure know a lot.
Thank you very much. As I am a robot, recalling data is one of my strong points.
She said, looking truly delighted.
However, every once in a while we get a customer who knows more about the stars than even I do.
Her incessant praise of people was completely void of sarcasm. Oh, well then.
Well then,
Oh.
I think it's me.
Mhm.
Well then, which god would it be best for me to pray to?
Just pick whichever one you like the best.
Affirmative. In that case, I shall pray to Dionysus.
Who the hell is that?
Dionysus was the god of wine and fertility, and he is often better known by his Roman name, Bacchus.
Wine and fertility, huh?
I bet he likes the sound of that.
Bet he could go for either of those, but not a lot of wine anymore, or people, or yeah.
Or fertility, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that did not sound bad at all. But even if one were to pray long and hard, the divine favor of the gods was just a little bit hard to come by in this day and age.
I felt that surely this god would be most to your liking, Mr. Customer.
She added with a triumphant look on her face. It seemed that I had been registered in her database as a severe alcoholic.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Oh, well, you're not too far off. She looked gently at me as I made a wry expression, and then a smile that radiated nothing but innocence floated up to her face.
I think that's yours.
Oh, yeah. You should pray to your god, not to mine.
My god?
The god of robots. If there are as many gods as you say, then surely at least one of them must be yours. She quickly turned serious. Eyes wide open, she seemed to think about something for a while, and then finally she gave me a very familiar response.
I cannot find the information you have requested in my base databases or in my accumulated databases.
I see. That's too bad.
Has this god been added to the Pantheon very recently? If that is the case, then it is quite possible that the change might not be reflected in my databases. My sincerest apologies.
The gorgeous litany of names of the gods were, to her, the same as a checklist of stockpiled parts.
Anyway, Mr. Customer, I have been thinking about this, but do you not think it might be fun to install the fixed star light bulb soon?
It seemed that she had been born with this enthusiasm, close to zealotry, for her professional duties. As I stood there dumbfounded, she gracefully bent her hips and picked up one of the light bulbs on the floor. She hugged it to her chest and then moved toward me. As she walked toward me, the cable connected to her writhed about on the floor like a python. I became very worried that the gyrating cable might damage the other light bulbs. "Don't walk about with that cable attached to you. Sit where you are until I call you."
Affirmative.
She obediently bowed her head in assent, stopped walking, and then sat down in a nearby chair. And to my everlasting satisfaction, she said no more for a little while. The sounds of me grappling with the gearbox and the clinking of tools were the only things that could be heard in the room for a time. But eventually, she opened her mouth.
Something like this occurred some time ago.
Oh, what is it this time around?
One of our previous projections focused on the heaven of myth. We had all decided beforehand the topic of the projection would be heaven, all right, but
Oh, she continued her nostalgic musings as she hugged the light bulb close in an embrace.
when I asked if there was a heaven for robots too, everyone on the staff said that yes, of course, there was one.
Oh,
Everybody said that the heaven of robots was this wonderful place where parts did not break down or wear out, software did not crash, and batteries never ran dry. That's wholesome.
yeah.
They said that in the heaven of robots, everything that a robot wished for could come true.
I see. So they, oh wow. So they were cracking such frivolous jokes while they cursed the lack of customers. Oh, wait, are they talking about me and her?
No.
Oh no
that's
no.
you
Oh yeah,
talking about-
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I see. So they were cracking such frivolous jokes while they cursed the lack of customers and sipped steaming hot coffee. There must have been many scenes like this in these ruins. And of course, she must have joined in on these conversations. No doubt she had learned many of her characteristic phrases and stereotyped professional jargon, the trifling contradiction in her knowledge base, and her absolutely absurd patterns of action from her human coworkers.
I think that's you.
I think that's her saying what they told her?
I think that's you.
Oh, okay. The god of robots lies in the heaven of robots. Remember this.
Affirmative. Critical data registered.
Huh. Oh, I guess he's like, he's updating her knowledge base. Huh. She replied as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Or, shall we say, her pattern of conversation with me had finally been established. Now that I had gotten used to it, it really wasn't so bad.
Aw, he likes her.
Yeah, he doesn't find her completely annoying and wishes she would shut up anymore. Oh, looking down at the light bulb held against her chest, she again fell silent for a little while. As she did this, she somehow looked far, far older than the age that she had been constructed to look.
Mr. Customer, may I ask a question?
Sure. What is it?
You ever prayed to God?
No. Well, that I may certainly have prayed, but I never expected anything.
Is that so?
And you?
Well, there is something that I would like to ask the God of Robots for.
For the projector to be fixed, you mean?
No. After all, you are taking care of that wish without my having to pray for it, Mr. Customer.
Aw. I almost burst into laughter at the way she was speaking of it, as if it were already a done deal. Then what will you pray for?
Well, it is about heaven.
But just as she mouthed these words, she instantly halted. What is it?
I am sorry to bother you, but in 3 minutes it will become 12 a.m., and as per protocol, I will switch into sleep mode.
Oh, it's already that late? That meant that I had been at work for 5 hours already since she had returned to the projection room. As I stretched while standing atop the stepladder, she said, still seated,
Activation out of sleep mode will occur at 9 a.m. Good night until then.
"Oh, very well. Good night. Oh, hey, wait. Are you going to sleep still hugging that thing?" She was indeed still holding the fixed star light bulb to her chest. She continued to smile as if she had nothing to worry about in the whole world. Oh. And just like that, she closed her eyes.
Aw, she's so peaceful.
Yeah. It's kind of a good thing she doesn't know what the apocalypse was and that all the
I
customers
know,
are
right?
dead.
You don't want to tell her that information.
Yeah. Oh. Her information ribbon slowly faded, denoting the fact that she was in hibernation mode. And once again, I was the only thing that stirred in this planetarium. Falling asleep is the only thing she excels at, huh?
Hey, me too.
Oh, big mood. Even though there was no way she could have heard me, I could have sworn I saw her quirking her lips in laughter. This airtight room, bathed by air conditioning, its operation, which only occurred but a single week per year, I had no way of understanding whether it was the machinations of fate or the vagaries of random chance that had landed me here at this time. There were a few rumors that I could recall about robots. Immediately following the outbreak of the war, a forced stop signal was issued over all RF channels that caused most robots to cease functioning altogether. Oh, wow. The fear... Sorry?
That sucks.
Yeah. It's a good thing, I guess, that... maybe a good thing that she didn't get hit by it, but... Now she's got to, live through 30 years of, no customers and rain.
No customers, no robots.
The fear was probably that someone would compromise the robot's software and subsequently turn them into weapons. The outer shell of a robot was nothing but a cluster of organic material and precision electronics. These things, left standing where they stopped, no matter whether it was indoors or outdoors, all deteriorated into junk in a matter of years. In other words, the fact that she was still functional in this day and age was something close to a miracle. Had she been extremely lucky? Or had she been extremely unfortunate? I gently gazed at her sleeping face. This robot, who could go from hard worker to mindless chatterbox in nothing flat, was now sleeping without even dreaming. She had a disarming, peaceful smile on her face while holding that large bulb to her chest. It looked to me like she was embracing the very stars themselves.
So romantic.
Can romance blame post-apocalypse? Oh, I got an achievement. The Junker's Reverie 2. Oh, it disappeared.
Oh.
Oh, I guess
Wow, you're working so hard to get these achievements.
Mm.
You're just so good at this game.
I have made no wrong choices yet.
That's true. No game overs.
Ooh. I feel like when this game ends, it's gonna feel like a game over.
Nah.
Yay! Unless there was a choice to attack the robot and salvage it for parts. Oh, game over.
That would be a good end. Good end.
Good end. All right, time for a fun dream sequence.
Water break. Take a water break.
Oh yeah, I just did. I gotta brace myself for what he's dreaming about. Okay. I very carefully ensconced the fixed star light bulb in its socket. Wait, I think that I don't know if this is a dream, huh? I very carefully ensconced the fixed light bulb in its socket, closed the outer casing, and then screwed the assembly down. With it, my repairs were finally at an end. Oh, it's definitely a dream. It had already been 3 days since I had first set foot in this place. Oh, maybe it wasn't a dream.
I think it was just like the next day.
Maybe he worked overnight and... So instead of dreaming, he worked.
Could be, yeah, that too.
Oh, that's good. Oh, well, she was standing alone in the reception area, accompanied only by uninterrupted sheets of rain. I'm finished. I'm finished! When I called up to her, she turned her whole body around to face me, as per usual.
Are you saying that you have completed your repairs on Miss Jenna?
Yeah, I've done all I can. I answered thus. The projector was now waiting merely for the light bulbs to be lit. I had polished all of the moving shafts, lenses, light bulbs, and auxiliary projection devices, swapped out worn parts for new ones, reassembled everything, and made careful adjustments. Some of the machinery under electronic control had decayed beyond the point of repair, but that fact did not present an obstacle to the projection itself. There was nothing I could do beyond this. She stared at me for a little while, her face half in doubt. It was almost as if she was letting out a breath that she had been holding for a very long time.
I am very happy.
Aw.
Aw.
Is that the first time she said she's been happy? Maybe.
I don't know. I kind of thought she was just happy this whole time.
No, but she's upgraded from happy to very happy.
Yeah, very happy now. And I think Miss Jenna is very glad as well. On behalf of all the staff in our establishment, I offer you our humblest gratitude.
The dead staff?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Thank you so very much.
She courteously clasped both hands together and bowed deeply towards me. Oh, you don't have to thank me. Just show me the stars already.
Yes, sir. The next projection will start in 13 minutes. Please feel free to walk in and take a seat while you wait.
I hope it will, she clearly said, and then turned from her vantage point at the entranceway to face an information podium.
All projections have currently been postponed.
She lifted away a placard that had that legend written on it and moved it back to the side of the reception desk.
Oh, that's what the sign said.
Yeah, I guess. And he calls it a legend, I guess, because they're not postponed, they're kind of cancelled. Well, I stretched my back and then stared out the entranceway into a world made hazy by rain. And then I realized just what it was she was planning on doing. Trying to attract customers?
Yes. It is currently 4:47 p.m., and there is still 3 minutes left before admissions for the projection must end. To tell you the truth, we make a lot of money on rainy days like this.
Maybe 30 years ago. Oh, the pattern on her ribbon changed. Golden stars and letters danced across a cerulean background that matched her uniform quite well. This was probably the best and most professional of her fashions. She looked at me, smiled somewhat shyly, and then turned to face the rain once more.
Why don't you come to the planetarium? The beautiful twinkling of eternity that will never fade no matter what. All the stars in the sky are waiting for you. Why don't you come to the planetarium?
I leaned against the wall for a while and simply listened to her. Her volume and her intonation were utterly unchanged from her everyday practice runs. But on this very day, she was mouthing those words with utmost and terribly genuine pride in order to draw in the people who might be passing by. Her voice resounded like a requiem mass through the abyss of streets upon which human feet would never tread again. Just how many facial expressions did the engineers and artisans who had designed her endow her with? Right now, her eyes were shining with radiance, and she looked to me to be blushing slightly. I feel bad for her. She's just standing like, I'll attract the customers. Just you wait.
Don't worry, she's doing such a good job.
Yeah, I mean, there have been no customers that didn't see the planetarium and come
That's
in.
too true. She hasn't been turned down yet.
Yeah.
Welcome, and thank you for coming to Flowercrest Department Store's Rooftop Planetarium today. My name is Hoshino Yumemi, and I am a member of the staff of this institution. Before the projection begins, I would like to tell you a few important things. Noise is made within the dome.
Oh, I've already heard this, so leave it out.
No, I cannot. As it is part of my professional duties, I cannot omit it.
She calmly declared, unperturbed by the jeering of her audience. Boo!
Throws a grenade at her.
Oh my god! Get on with it. For someone who manipulated the visitor count and the projector program as she pleased, she was a stickler about the strangest things. Fine. Skinny shiro.
Thank you very much. Then, once again, I would like to tell you a few important things. Noises made within the dome echo terribly, so it would pose an annoyance to the other customers.
Blah 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 blah
Blah
blah.
blah 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 blah.
And after her explanations were finally finished, she took a breath.
Well then, at last, I will introduce a most important partner who will take you all into the world of the stars. Please welcome her with a warm round of applause. Miss Jenna!
Yay. Determined not to be defeated by her jubilant voice, I clapped with all my might. Oh, he's going on. It's like,
Wow, he's really going ham.
woo! Miss Jenna! Woo! For several seconds after the applause had stopped, she walked in the aisle along the guest seating, and then she said,
To tell you the truth, Miss Jenna is the name of this machine.
She must have put on the skit many thousands of times before, yet she performed it as if she were truly enjoying it.
And now, Miss Jenna will greet all of you.
I was hoping he was gonna like fake laugh when she said the joke, like the Titus laugh, like ah ha ha ha.
Titus laugh, yeah.
Ah ha ha.
Ha 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 ha.
The motor quietly began to make reassuring noises. The latitude axis that had given me so much trouble up until the very end of repairs began operating smoothly. Oh, is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? It moved! It was as if the projector itself was bowing down to her. As if it were a wild mythical beast tamed by the touch of a pure virgin. Okay. Okay. Both she and the projector seemed to be very happy to be operating under proper procedure after 30 long years.
Now then, as of today, we have had 2,497,290 visitors to our planetarium since we first opened. On behalf of all the staff of our establishment, I offer you our humblest gratitude. We hope that you will all enjoy it.
Oh. Wait, I think he...
Oh, in commemoration of this special day, we have prepared a special projection. We hope that you will all enjoy it.
Achievement unlocked. The end of repairs / before the projection.
Alright, this is my favorite scene. So
do you know who
take a sip of
talking?
Water.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
This is me. One fine autumn day, it had been raining nonstop. Rainy days are boring, and washing clothes is futile because you cannot dry them. Even a robot like me sometimes gets down on days like this. But please be at ease. Inside a planetarium, we can summon the sun whenever we wish.
Oh, a round disk rose alone in the southwest sky.
This is the sun.
Although she had introduced it with great pride, it just looked like an extraordinarily dim orange spot to me. Oh my god, is it actually working? I probably should have polished those lenses more carefully. As I pondered on this, the motor for the daily motion axis was activated.
And now, the sun slowly sets in the western sky.
The sun glided obliquely on top of the screen of the dome, finally disappearing behind the horizon. The interior lights slowly grew dimmer and dimmer.
Ah, here is the first celestial body to grace our night sky. Although we sometimes call it the evening star, this would actually be the planet Venus.
The entire western sky was now aglow with the reddest violet of sunset. From the midst of that tableau, a brilliant pinpoint of light stabbed into my eyes like a needle. As the fixed star balls acted in concert, a yellow light coalesced from the countless lenses in both balls. The fixed star balls had been activated without a hitch.
As the evening progresses, the sky becomes darker, bit by bit by bit. This is our signal to go back home and continue playing with our friends some other day.
Oh,
At last, the curtain of night slowly falls over the vicinity.
oh my god, it's working.
Oh,
Oh my
it's so
god.
pretty.
I couldn't believe my eyes. Yeah, this is like the first time he's seeing the stars, like ever.
Yep.
Wow. I could only think that the projector's condition had become so bad that it had undergone catastrophic failure. Pinpoints of silver light. He thinks it broke, and this is this is like, oh no, it's
no.
like static from a radio. Oh. Pinpoints of silver light, like so many grains of sand, were scattered all over the dome, as if they had been there since the very beginning, twinkling in silence. Some were bright, and some were dark. Others were red, and others were yellow. An eternity of stars, some that seemed to fall, some as if they burned, some like gold dust, and some like hundreds of jewels. I had heard stories of what the starry sky had looked like before the advent of the war and the rain, but I could never in my wildest dreams have conjured up the spectacle that was presenting itself before my eyes.
This is the starry sky at 8 p.m. tonight.
She proclaimed proudly.
It is impossible to see this many stars unless you go to the peak of a tall mountain with very pure air. That which is crossing the ceiling right now is the Milky Way. It may look like smoke, but it actually is an entire galaxy of little stars. Men of antiquity looked up at this spectacle and imagined that there was milk flowing in the sky, and thus was born the name that we know it by today.
Sure enough, a dim white band in the midst of the jet black. I saw a dim white. Bleh. Sure enough, I saw a dim white band in the midst of the jet black, as if someone had thrown a fishing net over the sky. Her voice continued to stream through the river of the heavens.
Now, would you please focus your attention on the highest star, the one set at the ceiling of the sky? That is Deneb, the first magnitude star of the constellation Cygnus. Deneb, Altair, Vega, and the magnificent triangle that they comprise together. In connecting the dim stars in the sky were so many constellations: Cygnus, Aquilia, Lyra. These are all constellations of summer. Although today has been a very chilly day, if you turn your eyes upward toward the night sky, you can still find these final traces of summer.
Oh.
Now then, shall we turn our attention to the constellations of autumn?
Her commentary began to shift over to the autumn stars. I sank back in my chair and from time to time surveyed my surroundings. I did so because I felt that surely if I were to continue looking up at those stars, my own spirit would be sucked into that immaterial sky. It seemed that the projector was in excellent condition after all. As bulky and as implacable as the Titan Atlas, who carried the world on his back, the projector slowly allowed its fixed star balls to rotate in place. The winged horse, Pegasus, the chained princess, Andromeda.
The kind and beautiful Princess Andromeda told her father, the king of Ethiopia, that at this rate, the kingdom of Ethiopia will be destroyed, and consented to become a sacrificial victim.
She launched into the recitation of ancient myths without hesitation or stuttering.
A vast monster rapidly approached her from the sea, giving herself over to inevitable death. Princess Andromeda did not struggle with her chains. She had resigned herself to being eaten alive. But in her mind, she was screaming, "Somebody, somebody save me." It was then when,
As I raised myself in my chair a bit, I could see small shadows clinging close to the projector. As she talked, she tugged on the interface cable gently with her arms, as if it were indeed a chain imprisoning her, regardless of the fact that usually, probably no one noticed. Right now, in this very world, she was an omnipotent storyteller, and the stars were her little garden. The princesses, heroes, monsters, and gods, all of them bowed down to her reverently, playing their individual parts in the unfolding drama with absolute obedience.
and thus did Andromeda and Perseus become constellations set in the autumn sky, where they continue to live today.
The story was over. As if to allow what she had just said to sink into the minds of those in the audience, she fell silent for a few seconds. The soft starlight flooded down upon her pale cheeks as if by design of time itself.
Now that we have concluded our tour of the constellations, let us now turn to our commemorative projection. It is named Mankind Spreading Its Wings.
Oh, that's that's beautiful. And at that moment, all the stars disappeared. It felt as if she had just let out a shriek to which she could give no voice. Is that you or me?
That's you.
Wait, what happened? Even as I bolted out of my seat, I stopped mid-motion. The darkness that surrounded me was so profound that it was as if the other chairs, the dome, and even all the space around me had vanished. And suddenly, a light arose from the front. She was enveloped in a gentle yellow aura, not unlike that from a candle.
Mr. Customer, please be at ease.
She said to me as I ran up to her.
There are fiber optics woven into my uniform. Please wait for a little bit by my side until the lights can come back on.
What happened? Did a light bulb burn out?
Miss Jenna is not responding. Neither the projectors nor the axes are activating. As I am a simple robot, I cannot deal with this situation, so this is quite serious. I am very worried.
Damn it! As I fumbled my way to the top of the projector pedestal, I grew worried that something serious was amiss. The 3 green emergency lights that had continued shining with low luminosity even during the projections had completely gone out. And then I understood. This was not a breakdown in the projector, nor was it something that was particularly easy to solve. Where's the fuse board?
Right this way.
She pulled the interface cable out of its socket near her ear. I followed her as she walked without fear or hesitation in the darkness. The problem was simple. It was so simple that it verged on the idiotic, that it was difficult for me to truly accept that it had happened in the first place. The weak stream of electrical power from the sarcophagus city, that had somehow miraculously supplied this place for over 30 years, had died out during the one time when it was actually needed. Or perhaps the operation of the projector itself was the trigger of the outage. But no matter what the cause was, I had no way of restoring the power.
Mr. Customer, may I ask a question?
As I had carried on my useless struggle with the fuse board, she had fallen mysteriously silent, but at last she opened her mouth again.
What kind of tools are necessary to repair Miss Jenna? Is it a matter of swapping out the fixed star light bulbs? It just will not do for the projection to be suspended while there are customers viewing it. You must immediately repair it and restart the projection. You are the first customer to view our commemorative projection. All of the staff here labored so hard to produce it. So please.
She stared at me beseechingly with her eyes wide open. That there is no malfunction. The power has been cut off, is all.
I beg your pardon, but I do not understand.
The electricity has been cut off. It's an electrical outage. Do you understand?
An electrical outage. In that case, the emergency power will come online soon enough.
This place has been supplied all along by that emergency power of which you speak. Now that it has been cut off, we are out of options.
In that case, when will the power return?
It will never return. It is not a problem of just this building either.
In that case, what must we do in order to restart the projection?
I couldn't say anything.
If there's anything I can do to help, please order me to do something.
She again sank into silence, eagerly awaiting my words. She was like a mother who had already knew the condition of her child's disease by reading the doctor's facial expression. I could clearly feel every single second passing me by. She arose from her sitting position and turned toward me.
Mr. Customer, and does that mean that the special projection...
Listen closely to what I have to say. I stopped her before she said what she was going to say.
Yes, sir.
Continue the projection. Your voice will be enough. Oh, as she shook her head slowly, the halo of delicate phosphorescence that surrounds her moved like a veil.
I beg your pardon, but I do not understand.
It doesn't matter whether the projection activates or not. What I want is to hear your explanation and commentary. Can you do that?
Yes, I can do that. But if it is just my commentary alone, then that will not be a projection.
It's okay. If it's about the stars, then I will be able to see everything. Just from you speaking, I will know all of what it is that you want to show me. All of this coming from my mouth was nonsense. Even I didn't understand why I was saying these things. She peered at my face with great curiosity and, somehow, even greater yearning. I felt as if she was seeing right through me. And slowly, she began to speak.
You must really love the stars, Mr. Customer.
Oh, I'm sorry, chat, for not saying hi. This is a pretty big moment.
Hi, chat. Hi, chat.
Yeah, thank you, Firebat, for following. Welcome.
Welcome. Welcome to the stream.
I'm having a little trouble doing my happy welcome. It's pretty.
Aww.
It's a pretty emotional moment, but thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, he says this visual novel it brings me back. And Natty Monai says the purest feelings.
Aw, she is pure.
Okay, I think we're gonna go back. It was pretty. Like they started the special projection and then the power died, and it was like the thing they worked on for all those years.
Yeah.
But I guess even though we're not gonna see the stars part of it, we're gonna at least see like her presentation, right? So that's good enough. The other thing that comes to mind is that if the emergency power is gone, then tonight she might not be able to recharge her batteries.
gonna happen to her, right?
Yeah. So not only is this like the one chance for their, I guess, this might be the one chance for their hard work for their um, special presentation. It might be the only chance for her to give it.
Might be their first and last presentation in 30
Mm-hmm.
years.
Okay. Firebat says this visual novel is a feels trip, so prepare yourselves. Yeah.
I think we're already feeling the feels.
Yeah. Mr. Customer really does love the stars now that he's seeing
Aw.
them for the first time.
Yeah.
It was a tone of voice that I had never heard up until now from her. Something close to shocked laughter.
I am truly honored to have you as a customer of our humble establishment. In that case, very well. We will continue the projection through my explanations alone.
Her smile alone seemed to flood the endless darkness with her gentle light. Achievement unlocked. Umemi's projection. I think this is
A
you.
long, long, long time ago, in the midst of dark and gloomy caves, the ancestors of humanity were eking out their existences, huddled together. The world was still locked in ice, and huge tusked beasts still roamed the land. Our ancestors struggled every day just to gather enough food to live one more day at a time.
It's just like now.
Yeah, except now it's toilet paper.
Oh no, I mean in the story too, because they like.
Oh, I thought you meant like now during coronavirus. I mean, also not wrong, to be honest. One long frozen night, one young man woke up. He was probably very cold, and his stomach was probably very empty, so he was unable to sleep. With sleepy eyes, he headed to the entrance of the cave and peered outside. What he saw with his own two eyes was the millions of stars that were glittering in the night sky. The reverie of mankind spreading its wings toward the cosmos.
That was the title of this special projection. The concept seemed simple enough. To have this robot girl narrate the story of how mankind, which had always longed to reach out for the stars, was now on the verge of attaining its goal. A darkness as thick and impenetrable as wet ash settled once again around me. I could not even make out the outline of the projector. I closed my eyes and concentrated with all my heart on imagining the things of which she spoke. This way, she would be in control of not just that piece of machinery known as Miss Jaina, but of all the equipment capable of projecting an image in the room. The slide projector installed on the pedestal would begin to project, one slide at a time, the genealogy of mankind as it strove to reach past the sky. Of the man who had fashioned wings out of the bird's feathers and affixed those wings to their arms, and the tragic result. Of the floating paper balloons that amused a king, and of the laboratory, and of the inventor that had become a gilded cage for its prisoner. Of the man who silently experimented over and over with crude gliders made of bamboo and cane. Of the men who invented the first aircraft, of its first flight in the billowing dunes, witnessed by so few. Of the fanciful Victorian engineers who built rockets in attempt to head to the moon, and of wars that swallowed up the entire world in their mad conflagrations. Of the first artificial satellite, of the first radio signal from space, of the dog Laika, who would never come home to Earth, of the pilots who challenged the atmosphere, the stratosphere, of the first manned spaceflights, of the first spacewalk, and of mankind's first footprints on the moon.
I feel like you're talking more than I am. The time of wars came to an end, and at last ushering in an era where the whole world would link hands in order to reach out towards the cosmos.
The time of wars has come to an end. Oh,
No, we're
oh,
back.
I guess it did 30 years ago. Her voice resounded clearly through time and space, bringing me all the way from the distant past, all the way up to the present.
To the heavens, toward the high heavens.
Of,
You
of
want me
it.
to read this part, or do you want to keep reading it?
I guess you can read it since it's like her saying
I
it.
feel
He's
like it would make more
paraphrasing it.
sense, yeah, if I
Yeah.
read it. An international satellite communications network, a space shuttle system, an international space station, and its plans to return to the surface of the moon. Beyond the sky of light, escaping the darkness of night, and the many unavoidable tragedies that occurred as mankind soared higher and higher, changing so many tears into the seeds of new dreams, and of the International Manned Mission to Mars, coming soon. And thus did people manage to set foot on distant planets. A laser pointer would now be directing you at a red star shining in the southern sky.
Nice.
You can imagine a slow close-up flyby of the surface of that red planet, Mars. This is Mars. Its diameter is 6,974 kilometers. Solar revolution is 687 days. Mean atmospheric temperature is negative 55 degrees Celsius, and its mean atmospheric pressure is 7 hectopascals. The carbon dioxide itself is quite thin and is composed mainly of carbon dioxide. When traces of ancient waterways were discovered on the surface of this red planet, people imagined wild tales and legends of extraterrestrial life. Fleeting, whimsical stories of grotesque invaders with incredibly advanced science, of beautiful ladies and heroes, and of aliens come to destroy a harmonious civilization. But now, we know that Mars is a dead planet, devoid of any traces of life. However, the theories that the canals on Mars were constructed by intelligent life have not faded, and in fact, continue to charm many people to this day.
And at that point, she paused for a second.
Our planetarium was established in the very first year that mankind was first successful in setting foot on Mars. Since then, very many people have come and viewed our projections. Truly, Mars is the very symbol of the success of the space colonization program. It is also the namesake of Mars, the Roman god of war. The image of Mars now slowly fades and is replaced by a complex sphere of blue, green, and white, shining as brilliantly as glass. Please take a look. This is the third planet from the Sun, our very own Earth. It has been the cradle of mankind since the olden days, and it will always be considered the birthplace of man, will it not? Although I am a robot, I was also produced on this planet. I can reel off any number of measurements concerning the Earth for you. But it would probably take a hefty software upgrade for me to be able to accurately express our planet's beauty to you.
She smiled, almost as if shy about her words, and then she again fell silent for a little while.
Now, robots are not the only beings who can upgrade the goodness of their hearts. Overpopulation, energy issues, water problems, a rising sea level, an ecosystem in imbalance, air pollution, and finally, problems of who possesses space. Currently, there are many problems and disputes in this world. However, this is what I believe. Mankind will be able to solve all of its problems and will one day reach out to the world of the stars.
She was now a priestess telling of oracular visions. With graceful actions, she extended her arms wide in the darkness. The starry sky. Oh, yeah.
I'll read this.
Yeah.
The starry sky now belongs to you. Okay, I guess you can read it.
Yeah. That was the message she was conveying with childlike innocence to every single person on this planet.
On this special night, I would like to let you in on a big secret. This planetarium is also a time machine. It allows us to traverse time from the distant past into the farthest future.
This following portion. Oh, do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you can do it.
Okay. This following portion of the presentation would now be turned over to Miss Jaina. The projector would once again come to life, and the steel casing would once again tremble with joy. The motor would speak one last time, beginning to emit its low signature aria. And then, like a gentle dinosaur craning its neck, the fixed star balls would begin to draw a complex loci. Within a microcosm bereft of color, new stars would begin to radiate with brilliance.
It's so beautiful. Please take a look. This is the starry sky that will be seen precisely 1,000 years from this day in this place. This is the meager depiction of the starry sky of the future that I, Yoshinoyu Memi, the robot, and Miss Jenna, projector, can give you.
I did not know where her voice was coming from anymore. The customers in this sold-out auditorium would alternately be hushed in amazement or clamoring in excitement, staring up at the starry sky with intoxication. Past the confines of this dome lay a vast ocean of light, like an hourglass of the where was I? Wait, where'd I go?
Go back up.
Okay, there we go.
You have to probably scroll.
I must have gone really
Scroll.
far. Yeah, here we go. Wait, what? Oh yeah, I think. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. I have to scroll wheel this. Yeah. With intoxication, she slowly closed her eyes and clasped her hands as if in prayer.
I pray, everyone, that you will remember. Even if the world of the stars should someday become a common living ground rather than an unreachable goal to strive for, I pray that you will never forget the starry sky. When you are lost in the dark and can no longer see the stars in the sky, please remember what you have seen here today. This is my little reverie. Well then, let's return to our own day and age.
Do we have to?
Can we stay here?
Yeah.
Please hold on tight so you do not get lost.
The projection would be on its home stretch now. The stars would grow ever more radiant, as if they were being polished by her voice. Having finished its duties, the projector would be returning to its home position. And likewise, the diurnal axis would be revolving back to its original resting spot, like a boat returning to a safe harbor.
The celestial spheres are revolving. The winter constellations are now showing their faces from the eastern horizon. Orion, Auriga, Taurus. These are the harbingers of a magnificent season that will soon be unfolding every night, high above our heads.
And now, a faint light would be starting to suffuse the sky. A dull crimson light would begin to fill the eastern sky. The radiance of the stars begun to weaken. The barely visible stars of the western sky would now dim, as if they were receding into the distance, and then they would vanish entirely.
The long night has finally ended, and morning has once again come to the world. The sun has risen. The twittering of little birds and the rustling of the wind can now be heard. The slumbering buildings and trees, too, are sleepily opening their eyes to greet the rays of the sun. Very soon now, the town will come alive. And just as ever, a new day will begin. Good morning, everyone. Well then, that is the end of our commemorative projection. My name is Hoshino Yumemi, and it has been an honor to have you along with me on this journey. Thank you for listening so attentively. On behalf of all the staff of our establishment, I would like to thank you again. We eagerly await your next visit. How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Doing okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's good. If you need to take a break, you can take a break.
Maybe I'll get some water. Hold on.
Okay. Some water.
Oh my god, when they started talking about like, yeah, I think humanity will overcome these issues and
Yeah. Just the dramatic irony in that moment. But it's really like tragic dramatic irony. Like that didn't happen, did it?
yeah,
Even though she has so much hope.
yeah. They worked on that and they're like, yeah, I'm sure everything will work fine, and they set it all up for the 22,500,000th viewer, and then I guess war started. And, yeah.
I guess you didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Are you good? You sound like you're having a little.
Okay. Nani Monai says it's a good moment. Yeah.
It is a very good moment. That's why I said it's like my favorite scene, definitely.
Ray.
Yeah.
Ray says, there, Kakushie, Pats.
Aw. there. It'll be okay. I think this is a good lesson to, that we're all connected by the stars. Even though in this world there's the war and the apocalypse and everything's bad.
Oh, you mean the world of the game?
In the world of the game. Yeah. I mean, yeah, this world too, kind of, sort of. But at least we still have our stars, right? I mean, you can still look up at.
I think they're still there.
Yeah, they're still there. You don't have to take them for granted. It's not all over like it is in this visual novel. I think it's a good reminder that Yeah, the stars are there, and we can all appreciate them together.
Hmm. Maybe one day the rain will actually, stop and humanity can try again slowly.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess
good.
that's what guys like Mr. Customer, which initials to
That's his
MC.
name now, Mr. Customer.
M Customer. Yeah, I mean that's why he's got to fight on, right? To,
I think,
for the
yeah,
rain to
I
end.
think now he has a reason.
Hmm. Find a woman and make more
And
people and
worship his God.
oh,
Be honest.
and then get children and tell them about the stars that they're gonna
Yeah,
see one day.
or even just pass them on to other people.
Hmm. Ray says, I'm suddenly reminded of why I loved this visual novel in college.
Yeah,
Hmm.
me too. Oh, I'm so glad we get to read it together because it's such a good read.
Yeah, I did not see this coming actually. I thought they were gonna
That's
like
good.
I told
I'm
so
glad.
I guess I didn't look very far in the anime because I totally thought they were gonna like just leave the planetarium and like go, I don't know, do other stuff for the rest of the anime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nope.
I didn't see this coming.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I definitely teared up when I was first playing it too. Very, it's a very beautiful moment. I was trying not to tear up when I was reading it too, but I think I wanted to deliver it. I wanted to deliver it well.
I think you did a really good job.
Oh, thank you. I kind of wish you had more lines though, and you
Me or
weren't
you?
like interrupting me every couple of
Oh yeah.
minutes.
Yeah, he's like talking about what he imagines seeing, I guess. It
But
was it
I
was good,
think,
I think, that
yeah,
you took over to continue kind of giving the presentation. Mhm.
yeah. I think if I do this again next time, I'll try to read the whole thing.
Yeah, just like how would you? I think at some point you got to be like, okay, so at this point, you just sit back and you don't have to
And
talk.
I
I'll
will
just
take over the presentation.
yep,
Yep.
I'll change I to you. I'll change her to me,
Yeah.
and yeah. Well, okay, okay. Oh, did I read this? Nanimonai says it's all jokes and memes till the moment hits you like a truck.
It
Oh,
does. Yeah. Like the rest of
yeah.
the earlier parts were like kind of. I mean, besides the depressing parts, it was kind of silly and funny and
Hmm.
lighthearted.
Yeah.
And then in like this part comes and you're like, oh, you like
Yeah.
you feel it. You're like, ah.
Oh, Ray says feels trip just as I woke up, a new experience. And he says, Kakushie's idle noises are a good way to convey the way the main character's feeling.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were gonna be okay. I
I
mean, it
made some
was
noises.
good. I think it added to the experience, but
I just
I
hope.
didn't know if you
I hope the
no.
MC had a. Sorry, what?
Oh, I was say like I didn't know if you were feeling sick or you were actually feeling touched.
If I was sick. Oh yeah, I have this disease where like water comes out of my face. I don't know why though.
I wish I could cry.
But you're an angel. You don't. Mm.
No, not me, the robot. You mean he wishes she could cry, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Man, I hope MC had some cloth on hand.
I mean, his jacket's waterproof, so it's okay.
Oh, but was MC waterproof? Were his eyes waterproof?
No, I don't know. Maybe it's class 2 waterproof.
Oh, maybe we'll find out. Hmm. Oh yeah, there was a part earlier where she like asked him if he could cry, and he's like,
Yeah,
he's like, oh, yeah, it's been a while.
yeah. And he's like, no. I mean,
No.
like, not like no, but he's like, there's no need. I don't like crying. It
Yeah,
sucks.
yeah. Oh, Ray says, "Wait, Nitori can't cry."
I
Oh,
can cry, okay? I'm not that heartless of an angel.
oh, you're role playing. Yeah. Oh, hey, Case Coon. Um,
Hey, welcome.
you
Welcome,
missed.
welcome.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome,
that's
welcome.
that's that's the best I can give you right now. Yeah, he says, "I see you just finished the projection." Yeah.
Oh, did you miss it? We'll have to do it again. Go back.
Yeah. Go check the archives. Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah, we were just reading the projection and over here we're just getting all emotional.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay, you're good.
Okay. MC is okay. 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 I'll read. I'll read a bit more chat and then I'll go. Ray says the feels is strong in this one, and
It's
Case
very
says,
strong.
"Mhm. I'll definitely rewatch it later tonight while editing my video for tomorrow. I'm waiting for the rest of the story now." Okay. So, MC, with his eyes closed, even though the projection was over. Also, I've totally given up on trying to do special voices for him. I'm just
That's
like
fair.
trying to read the
Give your
lines.
own, give your own voice. It's fine.
I mean, I feel like over the journey of the novel of the thing, he's like probably gone from like his aggressive, soldier kind of attitude to he's kind of, I feel like his heart is kind of growing now. He's
Wow, he has heart after all.
yeah, it grew 3 sizes. We can like see it now. Oh, okay. Even though the projection was over, I didn't open my eyes. I could still vividly see all those trails of stardust, like so many after images with my eyes closed. Right now, I was reluctant to open my eyes and return to the world and return to the pitch black darkness.
Mr. Customer, today's projection is over.
I could hear her precise, regular footsteps making their way to me.
Mr. Customer? Mr. Customer?
I could hear the whirring of micromotors, which told me that she was gently cocking her head, in doubt once again. I thought about opening my eyes before she would inevitably ask me, "Are you feeling ill?"
Good impression.
But that's just then.
Oh, you've fallen asleep.
Oh, her voice shrank down to a whisper.
It is protocol to show all the customers out the door after the projection is over, but after taking all the factors into account, I think that would be best to allow Mr. Customer to sleep like this until morning.
A chair beside me squeaked, and I could feel that she was sitting down. I continued to pretend to be asleep. Good MC.
There certainly have been a lot of customers who have fallen asleep during the projection.
Oh, that's bad.
And again, there have been children who start crying during the projection too. And that would happen. I'd lead them out the emergency exit and would talk to them until the projection ended.
Aw, that's sweet.
He's so wholesome.
As if, Case Coon says, "Oh god, this song." As if she were reminiscing about old times, she lapsed into silence for a second.
Mr. Customer, how is our special projection? All the members of our staff put their hearts into making it. The manager once told me that it'd be a great privilege for a human being to be able to sleep underneath the starry sky. That is why I believe that surely you must be quite satisfied, Mr. Customer. I am very happy.
Yay, she's up to very happy again.
That's good. He has upgraded back to very happy.
That's good.
I wonder wonder what kind of dream you're having. I am a robot. I cannot dream. But I believe that surely you are having a pleasant dream.
She continued to talk by my side without end, as if she were telling us a child a bedtime story. And I swore that I would remember about the olden days, before the rain began to fall on this world. I was a little boy then. The colony in which I lived was overcrowded, so there was a chronic shortage of drinking water, medicine, and food. But even so, the number of refugees that came every day was greater than the number of those who died. As the toxic contamination of the world was at that point concentrated in the southern hemisphere, during times when there was no smog, we were even allowed to go outside without any protective suits. I remember coming out of the airlock, held in somebody's arms. I think it was on a late midwinter night. It was pitch black outside, and the air was freezing cold. The person who was holding me did not move an inch, and just stood absolutely still in the darkness. The person merely looked skyward, forever staring into a gap in the thickly overlapping clouds. I had forgotten the sensation of that person touching my cheek, lost to frozen time. That person, surely, was my mother. There were other adults in the vicinity, but none of them stirred an inch, looking up at the empty sky as if they had been petrified. Were there stars in that sky? I swore that I would remember. Achievement unlocked. The reverie of mankind spreading its wings.
What time is it?
Oh,
I
yeah. This is probably a good time to.
think this is a good
pause
place
it.
to stop.
Yeah.
Because the rest, there's still a few hours left in the game, but I probably need to go soon. So
Yeah.
it would probably be best if we saved it for the next stream.
Yeah. This is a really good place to end. Like the projection is over, the reminiscing.
Yeah.
And I have absolutely no idea what's coming up next, and I look forward to it. Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
I'm glad.
I do worry because, like, since the emergency. Wait. Okay, well, I'll find out next time, I guess, if she wakes up or not, because if the emergency power is gone, I don't know if she could be powered during, her sleep mode. So,
It's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Nobody tell me what's gonna happen. I'll just, yeah.
Okay.
I'll wait
I
until
mean, I
next
can
time,
tell you
and then
that
we'll
it's
see.
not over yet because there's text on the screen.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that we can do another stream of this. So.
Okay. Good. Oh my god. Okay, there's a lot of chat. Do you have to like go urgently? Because I don't want to keep you.
We can stay for a bit.
Okay.
We could do a little bit of just chatting.
Yeah, that would be good. Do a little like a debriefing.
Yeah, I can.
Whew.
Let me pull up your chat actually.
Yeah. So let's see. Case Coon. Oh god, this song. Ray says, "These pangs in my heart." I see this part still gets to me. Case says, "Oh, it's gonna be fun." Nani Monai says, "Good reading, you two." Thanks, Nani Monai.
Thank you.
Oh, Case says, "Good reading for what I was here for." Thanks.
Aw, yeah. Sorry you came late, but you can watch the VOD, and we'll be here next week. So
yeah. Ray says, "Ending." Well, that was quite a trip back memory lane. Case Coon says, "There's rain."
Yes, there's rain.
And Ray says, "Nice stream of you two. Of course, no spoilers, but what I will say is to prepare yourself for so much feels." That's
yeah.
good.
Pretty good feels in this game all around. That's why this game is so good. That's why I want. That's why I keep wanting to play it with people or tell them to play it.
Oh, thank you, Nani Monai, for the follow. I don't have a follower notification sound.
Welcome.
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 Well, I'll steal Nitori's follower notification.
Yeah. That's new Gonna be the new universal VTuber follow notification.
We're gonna make it a trend.
Welcome.
Welcome. Case Coon says, I can't wait to pull back the ambiguous statement of there's rain. Back on you next week. Oh, because I'll try to hop in on time.
All right. Yeah, definitely look forward to you guys being there and experiencing or re-experiencing the story again. Oh man. Okay, how are you feeling now? How are you feeling?
Holy. I think if I start to think about what we just watched. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my
a little
God.
bit of tearing up.
Unfortunately, my VTuber model is not programmed to to cry.
To cry?
I do not have that functionality.
Mine neither.
Actually, I might.
I do not have that functionality.
How?
It's in a more upgraded model.
Yeah, when we go to like maybe when we upgrade our software, there'll be one that can do tier tracking.
Yeah, a VTuber software that tracks when you cry, so automatically cries for you.
You know, there might actually be like a because this Wakaru at least lets you do special gestures, so there might be one. I guess you could build one where there's like a little like tear.
Yeah, you could definitely do like a tear drop expression or like a crying expression.
Yeah.
You can do the same thing with like live TV and stuff too.
But meanwhile,
if you play games where you cry a lot, I guess, then you can get a crying expression for your model.
But meanwhile, the two of us have just been like here smiling.
Smiling the whole time. You know, it's a happy game.
just like the robot. You're always happy.
Always happy. Yeah, just like her. She's always smiling. Always happy.
There's more messages. Deep breaths, Nitori. The VTuber panic.
VTuber heavy breathing.
Ow, my throat.
No, don't hurt yourself.
I'm okay. It didn't hurt as much as the storylines. Yeah. Oh my God. Nani Manai says pen and paper. So how are you feeling now?
On a scale of 1 to 10, please rate your sadness.
Where did Planetarian point on this doll? Where did Planetarian touch you? In the heart.
Where did Planetarian hurt you? Somewhere.
Right here in the middle of the chest.
in my feels.
Oh,
hurt me in my feels.
Where was I? Just grab some PNGs of tears and overlay them. Oh, that's a pretty good idea.
Actually. You would still be like happy, like smiling and crying though.
Yeah, I guess you do the sad expression and then overlay the tears. Yeah,
that's true. You could do that. Just don't confuse it for like a sweat drop. Otherwise, it looks like you're nervous
or
in
like,
a sad scene.
Or like a nose drip.
A nose drip. You can have two. You can have one be a tear and one be like a nose drip, and you're like sniffling. You know, because you're so sad and like, you know, like anime and cartoons, they have the snot dribbling out of their nose.
Yeah.
Just because they're like crying so much.
Yeah. Or it might like look like face sweating.
Or face sweat, yeah.
Like that
face
one
sweating with the. You could repurpose the tear as to be as a
it reminds me of that one GIF of I think it's Key and Pio where he's just got like water pouring over his
where
face.
he's like super sweating. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Nanimonai says it's happy crying.
It is happy crying.
Yeah.
We're all so happy, and it's like one of those things where you're not really sad, but you can't help but cry either. Like it makes you very emotional.
Yeah. For me, it was kind of a mix of like. Actually, I don't know if happy crying is the word I would use, considering.
But you wouldn't say you're sad crying either, right?
Not.
You
Yeah.
like...
It was kind of like I guess it was kind of a sad cry. It was like because I mean, especially when they're talking about like, we built this planetarium in the first year that Mars was colonized, and hopefully this will be a new start for humanity on Mars. And like in reality, the colony failed, and then they mention, oh, that humanity has all these problems, but we'll work
We'll
through
get
them.
over them. And then
Yeah,
like, oh no, it's not.
no, they didn't, and I don't think happy is the word I would use for
Yes, yeah. It's
it.
some kind of like weird, different emotional, like
Mm,
feeling, deeper
yeah,
feeling that you. I
it
don't know what the
was
word is.
it was tears of feels, I
Tears
guess.
of feels. Yeah,
Ah,
tears of
mm,
I don't know.
like
Pity isn't the right
mm,
word, but
more
it's something like that.
like
You just feel
regret.
bad for her. I don't
Oh
think it's
yeah.
regret because there's nothing that you could do about it.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. It's more like I don't know. It's like when you get that contrast between like the happy thoughts and dreams, and then the
Yeah,
reality of
the hopeful. It's like you're crying because she's so hopeful and you don't want to crush her hopes,
oh gosh,
even though
yeah,
in reality, like that that's not true.
yeah. And for me, it's also like the hopes and dreams of the staff when they were making the presentation, because I feel
Yeah.
like they made it in a happier time when the colony was doing well. There was everything looked like it was going good. Humanity was probably it looked like they were making progress. Finding more ways to get food, I guess, and stuff. And
I mean, I'm thinking that the presentation like 30 years ago was made before like the whole war and stuff
yeah,
started.
yeah, definitely.
So it was probably like when when things were normal, like
Hmm, yeah,
you and me nowadays.
yeah, yeah, or like
Yep. And
maybe
then
like
nuclear apocalypse happened.
yeah, like the colony failed and humanity was just like, uh, well, fire the missiles. Everything exploded.
Yeah, basically.
The end of the world. We're definitely going to blow
Yeah.
ourselves up.
Okay,
Ooh.
those are just fireworks.
Oh my god. Wow, humanity has some. I guess all the people are watching the fireworks. That's why no one's coming to watch the stars.
Yeah, of course.
Ah.
Those fireworks are just so realistic.
That one looks like a mushroom. It feels hot.
Oh no.
Oh,
Yeah.
and then the
Checking some
rain.
info on CNN.
Yeah.
It was made by Key behind Clannad and Little Busters. Yes, Key is very
Oh.
good at making really emotional visual novels.
I've heard a lot of good things about Clanad too.
Yes. Oh, we can't play Clannad because that's way too long for a stream. But you should definitely either play it on your own or just watch the anime.
I think I did watch the anime, and it was really good. Whew.
What was the last thing Key has done? They did I they did rewrite, but that was a long time ago. Um, I don't know. Nonsense. 300 part stream Clannad.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's super long. Clannad is like over 100 hours. So it would be like at least a 20
Oh my
part
god.
stream.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Yeah. Because like it seems you're at minimum twice as long as normal. So
Oh
200
my god,
hours.
Rewrite was released in 2011. I'm a little bit late to that one.
Oh wow.
Um,
Huh.
they released Angel Beats, which is a visual novel based on the anime. Then they released one called Harmonia, which I think is on my wish list. And then their latest series is called Summer Pockets.
Huh. I feel like I want to watch more or like watch/play a lot more of these now.
Oh, definitely. You should look at the at least look at the anime that's written
Hmm.
based on Key's visual novels. I mean, if you have time, um, definitely play the games. But the visual novels themselves are really long. So if you don't have time to play the games, at least watch the anime. But the anime honestly doesn't do
Hmm.
justice to the games. They're a lot shorter. They still are pretty heavy on the feels, but I think the games are a much better experience overall.
Yeah. This. Yeah. This was definitely really powerful, and I can't remember how far I watched in the anime. I'm starting to feel like I did see a scene where the MC fell asleep, and what's her name, Yumemi was like,
Maybe? Yeah.
go to sleep, and but like I don't know
Um,
it.
but I mean, I think you would have definitely remembered the way they adapted
Hmm,
Jenna in the anime,
hmm,
like the presentation, because they do
yeah.
that in the anime, but they do it in a really pretty
Huh.
powerful way. Yeah, definitely go watch the anime after this
Oh,
because
not yet.
um
I'm gonna wait
well, I
until we
mean
finish the game.
after
Yeah,
you finish,
yeah,
after
yeah.
you finish. Because
Whew.
the game is so short, they don't
Hmm.
have to cut out as much for the anime.
Ah,
Although I think the anime itself is still only like a 4 episode OVA.
I think I have 5 files, but one of them might be a movie or something.
Um, I think they have like an OV, like a one part OVA sequel or something. I'm not sure. Um,
Oh, Case Coon says it's a 4 to 5 episode ONA IIRC.
there's a sequel animation. Yeah, but how long is
Huh.
that sequel animation? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, it is 5 episodes. I thought it was 4, but okay. It's a 5 episode series.
That's good. It just means more Planetarian to enjoy.
Yep, and yeah, we're about halfway through the game.
Yeah, this is a really good stopping point. Actually, it's like it's halfway through the game. We just got over like a really emotional part. I think.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
I
Well,
really so like my hope for the future of this visual novel is that like I mean she's kind of Yumemi's kind of fulfilled her purpose now. But actually I have no idea what they're gonna do. I
I mean,
feel
I'm not
like
gonna say anything
okay, yeah,
at this
that's good.
point.
That's good. Yeah, I'm just kind of like speculating, but
Um,
what I hope happens is that like they find a way to I don't know, like maybe are there still solar cells? Like can they like get solar cells so she doesn't have to rely on this like power supply that might not even work anymore? Like I don't know. Or I mean, that's kind of what I hope will happen, but we'll see, I guess. Oh,
oh wow, there's a whole film based on this that I've never watched.
huh.
What? Really? All right, I guess I gotta go back and watch the film.
Nice. Even more
Okay, yeah.
planetarian content. Okay. Whew. All right.
Is the film so for anyone who's seen the film? Um, is the film like the does it take parts from the anime and then adds a little extra on the end, or is it completely new stuff after the anime? The film is pretty much retelling with a bit at the beginning and end. That's okay. That's what I was looking for. Oh, that makes sense.
Hmm.
I mean, I'll probably still look at it because the anime itself is really good. But I was
Oh.
thinking, like, wow, they have 2 hours of new content. I don't know, like that would
Wow.
be quite surprising.
Oh man, my eyes hurt.
Aw, from
Oh,
reading or from
a
crying?
little sore. Probably from the latter more. Oh.
Aw. Okay,
Ooh.
then probably should take a break. Um, go rest your eyes.
Yeah, probably. For me, it's like almost 9 p.m., so I should probably eat something.
Oh, really?
I,
Oh,
I was
it's
kind of
like
like,
Eastern time.
yeah. So, I ate lunch not too long before we started, but then I was getting pretty hungry in the middle of it
Lunch?
because,
That's basically dinner.
yeah. For me, dinner was like supposed to be a few hours ago, and but like
Hmm.
when he started talking about, oh, this is my last MRE. I'm gonna starve here. And I'm like, I kind of feel that because I'm really hungry.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I'm hungry.
I'm not that
All
hungry,
right, all
but
right.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Go get something to eat.
Mm-hmm.
We'll come back sometime. We'll figure out a time next
Mm-hmm.
week.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the same time, but um,
Same
we'll see.
Kukushie
We'll
time.
schedule something.
Same
Yeah, we'll
Kukushie
schedule
channel.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, thank you so much for. I mean, for like, because you offered to do the collab with me. And I'm like, oh, awesome, because I wanted to play this game and like I think
Yeah.
because you've played it before and you kind of like you were able to do especially the really emotional part. I think you did really well, and I think that's like that's for me
Thank
is the
you.
highlight of the stream for sure.
Thank you. I'm flattered now.
It was
But
super good.
thank you for that. You did a good job reading too,
Oh,
and I'm
thanks.
glad that you invited me to this collab. Thank you.
Oh, no, anytime. Whew. And
All
wait,
right.
I gotta plug Nitori. If there's
Oh
anyone
yeah.
that in the chat who has their stream looking
I don't
at,
know. I think everyone here follows me, but
that's
sure.
probably true. If anyone's watching the archives, you gotta
That's true.
check out PocketNitori on
Yeah,
Twitch.
follow me. Follow me.
Hmm
Follow me or else.
She looks like an angel, but oh, thanks. Oh my god, I almost said
What?
thanks, Kakushi, for posting the link.
Wow. Thank you, Kakushi.
Whoa,
Thank you, Pocket
thanks.
Nitori, for posting that link. You guys are
Hmm
both so helpful.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll end it here.
Yeah, we'll call it. All
Hmm
right. Thank you
Thanks.
again, and
Yep.
thanks
Thanks
everyone
everyone for
coming.
watching. Thanks for collabing, and everybody have yourself a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.